If you've ever told somebody that you'd call them back because you can't find your phone, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another edition of Live Trading. Happy Thursday. It is the start of the NCAA tournament. Watch those volumes out there. We also had Powell yesterday. SPY still under its 100-day average from volume. So we're going to take a look. We got the market gapping up here a little bit. We got 13 in the back. You know what we're here to do. It's all about that money.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks, it is a beautiful day, and if you can't tell, I am excited. We are kicking off arguably the best weekend in sports, but we also have some market stuff to get through first. Let me go ahead and bring on 13. 13, how you doing here today?
I'm doing fine. So I was just trying to look at something on my phone. Sorry. Hey, how is everybody going?
At least you found your phone.
Yeah.
At least you knew where your phone was.
You said that opening statement. I was like, do I have my phone? Here it is.
Here it is. We're going to check it. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. I want to get my chart tool up here. Boom. All right, so the big news on the table here, 13, we had the Fed meeting yesterday. As we expected, no change in interest rates, actually a fairly dovish tone. If you ask me, from Powell, I was looking for something hawkish. Market did not sell off at all. In fact, it just ripped. I know the initial impulse move was sold back down to balance, but it ripped from there. Good for our longs. Glad we took some of those longs yesterday. We are cooking with this. But in terms of levels, I think the last level that you and I discussed was going to be 518. And boy, oh boy, did we rocket through that. Currently at 523.06 here. So what are you seeing here for the SPY? Because to me, let me turn on that 20-day moving average. To me, it looks like we got the same pattern that we've been dealing with for months now. We bounced clean off the 20-day. We've set some new highs here. What say you?
Yeah, so the pattern repeats again. This is just a little bit later than the pattern that we've been seeing, where it didn't take any longer than 7 trading days for us to make new highs. Today or yesterday was the 8th, so patterns still repeating. It's just a little bit late. If this pattern is going to continue like we've been seeing, then today we should see new highs, but we should close beneath the high from yesterday. That's more or less been what's happening every time that we've broken out and made new highs. We would trade up, come back in a little bit, close beneath the previous day high, maybe consolidate, trade down before we start to move back up and make new all-time highs. So it's just been a whole process of just breaking out, consolidating, and then going up higher again after trading down a bit.
I've got that intraday high at about 520 and a half. I think maybe 520.65 if I'm being accurate, but just about there. Is that the same number that you got, or am I looking at the wrong top there?
The high from yesterday that I have is 520.62.
520.62. Okay, off by 3 cents, 520.50, right thereabouts. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, so you want to see a close beneath that today on the SPY. Interesting. Let's see if we get that. Let's see if we actually get an up move out of the gate. That's one of the things I'm thinking we could see here. Maybe a push to new highs, kind of like you said, and then a reversal intraday. Again, I hate to mention it again, but I'm going to, because I want you folks to all be safe. We are definitely expecting the volume to drop off in the afternoon. The basketball games start at 12:15 Eastern. I would imagine people are going to be ducking out a little bit early to get to their favorite watering hole and get a good seat for that. I even saw guys like Dan Ives tweeting about how excited they were for the basketball tournament to start today. So I'm absolutely looking for lower volume in the market today. Now, the other thing that we have going here is the Reddit IPO. We've talked a little bit about this the past couple of days. I know that this is an IPO that a lot of people are waiting for. We had reports yesterday in the happy hour that this was 5x oversubscribed. It's going to open up at the top end of the range here. Ticker is going to be RDDT. I'll say this, 13. I generally don't like trading IPOs. I'm certainly not going to trade Reddit today just because I'm going to be preoccupied. The thing about Reddit, though, is that like my overall feeling on this is that this is just simply late. This IPO is late. They should have done this IPO a few years ago. I'm not sure what the actual how how it's actually going to trade today. If I had to trade it, I would say that it's probably going to close lower than it opens, but we see all types of crazy stuff with IPOs. And the other thing is, if the volume disappears and Reddit is the only thing trading, you might have some more traders in there that might not otherwise be in there. So something to keep in mind on Reddit. You got any thoughts on this upcoming IPO?
Yeah, well, to think about its point that he's saying about Reddit was selling shares to its users. The way I understood how that works is that they're actually gifting shares to longtime users. If you were a member of Reddit after a certain point or before a certain period. So I think that he's right on that it's not a great sign, because they could just end up selling those right out of the gate, leading to more downside pressure. So to your point, I think for me, I would want to wait to see what happens with Reddit, because it is a little bit late to the meme stomp party.
Yeah.
I think, somebody's got to clean it up. So that's probably why they're here. But if it's going to give the price action where we trade down the first day or the first week, and then we consolidate, I'd be more interested, because that usually means that it's found a bottom, or it's finding a bottom. So that could mean that we see more upside in the future, but I need to see the price action first.
So you're basically looking for a chart pattern like we saw on Instacart, which is Maple Bear here, right? We got that initial day where it was absolutely crazy, but then we consolidated lower for a few weeks, and then finally we made another move. Also worth mentioning, another recent IPO that did something similar was ARM. ARM had a crazy one day, sold off, consolidated lower, just like you were talking about, 13, then started to float higher, and then really popped and started to go. So, okay, that's good stuff on Reddit. We'll see if we end up getting any of that here today. Richard saying, I'll buy Reddit under $10. Well, there you go. There's your price target, right? There you go, Richard. So, okay. I'm curious. We're going to be back on the air again tomorrow. I would be curious to know how you folks handled Reddit, how you did with it, what you thought about it, the whole 9 yards. Again, I probably won't have any booked trades on that one, but I would love to hear from the community what they're doing. Okay. As a reminder, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. It is the best prop firm out there. Huge pool of stocks to trade, and can really help you get above that day trading threshold if that's something you're looking to do. You can also get up to 260K in buying power. So keep that in mind as well. The guys are great, and they give us plays, and here are the plays for today. I'm actually going to flip over and start doing some of the bigger names here in the platform. I'll show you we've got some setups for these trades. I did see that someone earlier was mentioning Micron. I apologize, I didn't get your name. We are absolutely going to be looking at Micron. I have a trade plan set up for that we're going to cover here shortly. NVIDIA, Tesla, Micron, the three names on the list here today. The resistance and support is listed there. I always encourage you folks to do your own charting as well. However, let's go ahead and take a look at the platform. Here you go, Joe. So here is Tesla. So the first one, in that list, they're in no particular order. Tesla has the pre-market range that we're looking at right here. I've got 176.27 on the downside and 178.87 on the upside. We might as well just consider that 179. So I want to see which direction Tesla picks here today. If we break beneath, we're going to be looking for the exact same setup we've been trading. A break beneath one of these levels, a retest of that level, and then the next move lower. On the top side, we're going to be looking for the inverse of that. A break of the upside level, a retest of that level, and then a move higher. Tesla, first one on the list here. Next one on the list here is going to be Micron. And this one reported earnings 13. I know you've got some thoughts on Micron, which I definitely want to get to here. I'm going to let you talk about the earnings and the guide on Micron and what that might mean for us. As far as the trade plan today on Micron, we've got 113.81 as the upside level there. Again, I'm probably just going to look at that as a 114 even. And on the downside here, I've got 109. So the exact same setup is what we're looking for here. A break to the downside, retest of that level. That's our entry trigger. And if we break on the upside, retest that level and go higher, that's our entry trigger for higher. So that is the plan here on Micron. 13, you were taking a look at their earnings yesterday. What do you think about Micron's report?
Well, their earnings were very strong, but it was their guidance that really had me raising my eyebrows, because they're talking about a multi-year AI opportunity. Now, the thing with Micron is that, they're not making processors like NVIDIA or Intel. They're making DRAM and NAND chips. which are like memory, volatile memory for storage, temporary storage. They're components that are required for just about any computer. And NVIDIA is not completely building out these entire systems using only their components. They're using components from Intel, and they're using components from Micron. So there's a big opportunity for Micron in that cloud AI space. And there's going to be a lot of other players that are going to benefit from this well. But with Micron being as big as they are and as high quality as they are, this is, I think they have a long runway of profitability, especially if they're talking about multi-year AI opportunities. So this to me, it looks like it might just be getting started. I don't think that we're nearing the end of this AI run yet.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I do think we're in the infancy here. It's a good point on Micron. We'll see where this one goes here today. This is one that you have owned in your long-term portfolio. Do you still? What's the deal there?
No, I don't own it right now, and I regrettably wish I did. So
yeah, of course. In fact, Carmen saying, glad I own a few shares of MU. On a morning like this, I can only imagine, Carmen. And real quickly, Carmen saying, I sold Saiga. Remember, this is actually one of the recent movers here. You take a look at this daily chart. This thing went absolutely vertical. Carmen saying, I sold Saiga probably a bit too early, but a 50% gain was plenty. Folks, I really want you to focus on this. What Carmen's doing here is trading. This is what traders do. There is no way Carmen's going to be able to guarantee she hits the bottom and the top. Carmen, this is a great move in very, very short order. 50% gain on the equity is great, especially in a short amount of time. Congratulations. And a cash register ring for that. Sell into the strength, folks, even if you don't hit the top. Okay. Speaking of other trades here, the only trade that I made yesterday, no day trades yesterday. The only trade that I made yesterday was opening up a new swing. This one was actually in the main account, not in the prop account. That is going to be VKTX. Again, the thought here is the floating island formation. Generally, in my experience, floating islands resolve to the upside 70 to 80% of the time. Obviously, each individual stock is different. This is a very classic chart formation that I absolutely love playing, and we got a great setup yesterday. Crow, again, shout out to mentioning this because I was rolling through some charts as this one was forming up. We entered this one here at $67. We are looking at 71 here, so a 4-point gain just overnight. Would love to see VKTX push up here. The one thing I will say is that now that I have several points in the green, there's absolutely no way I'm going to let this trade go red. If I get stopped and shaken and it starts to move back to the upside, I might consider rebuying it again, depending on how that goes. But under no circumstance am I going to let this swing trade go red after that first day. One of the other swings that we have been talking about recently was CCJ. Still long CCJ here. This getting a nice pop post-Fed. I'd like to see some more gains out of this. Only up about $1 here on CCJ. Jay, shout out to you. You had uranium stocks in our ear for several months now, and that is paying off. So good stuff here. Let's take a look at some of the other movers here. I'm actually going to go back to Benzinga Pro, and let's flip over to our movers page here. Now, I know we didn't have a whole lot here this morning. We still do have a couple on here. Let's see what's going on with my charts real fast. Boom, boom, boom. All right, here we go. All right, first one here is going to be CAVL. So you can see, I'm sorry about the shading here. It's actually missing on this particular chart. You can see we really started to push up here in the morning. We've done a good job flagging and holding above 2, but we are beneath the VWAP. VWAP here at 229. We'll see if we can get some juice here. Some pretty good volume here so far in the morning. Again, we want to see that volume pop, take us through that VWAP and maybe move us to the top end of the range. We take a look at the news tab here, courtesy of Benzinga Pro. You don't see a whole lot here, so maybe this is just kind of a technical trade. CAVL on the docket here. Float very, very low. I know that you were going to cover that here. 13 float under 1 million. Average volume traded per day, 34,000 shares. Today we've traded 10 million. So this thing likely to get wild here after the open. What do you think on CAVL here?
Well, they did a reverse split on January 25th. It was a 1 for 21. So that definitely helped bring the size of the float down. Aside from that, I don't have a whole lot of information about what this company is, what they do, or what was driving it today. but it does have a very, very low float, as you pointed out. So going to be pretty easy to push this around. Clearly, we've already traded this over 10 times its float size. So definitely on deck for some movement today.
Indeed, we will see what Cavill Brands ends up doing here today. Now, the next one here is going to be ticker LU. This is Lufax Holdings. This does have a catalyst here. Lufax Holdings trading higher. The company reported Q4 financial results here this morning. Stock is up 43, almost 44% here this morning. You can see we've done a really, really good job staying above the VWAP. Our first pullback to the VWAP here in the pre-market, we did bounce from that. Looks like the top end of this range is going to be about 5. Actual place where this thing stopped, I've got it at about 497. But again, watch that 5 round number there, especially if this has some juice right out of the open. I know it's trading up here into the top end of the range at the pre-market, but I really want to wait for the opening print on ticker LU. We'll see if this sets up for us today. You got anything else on LU 13?
Yeah, this one had earnings, and they announced a dividend, special dividend at their earnings. So, and it was a pretty large size dividend too. I think let's see here, it's $1.21 per ordinary share, or if it's ADS, American Depository Shares, that's $2.42. So not bad. They do have a 173 million share float. So the fact that it's moving like it is pretty impressive.
Indeed.
They did do a 1-for-4 reverse split on December 15th. So that means that their float was a lot bigger, but this is helping to move up. So I think the dividend is the big mover of this price action, because the earnings report were both top and bottom line misses. So I think it's really moving on to dividend.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's going to be ticker LU. Next here we have AMTX. Now I feel like we were trading this one recently, were we not? Or am I confusing this with another similar ticker? Nonetheless, here, AMTX popping here this morning. We actually popped as high as 529 here. Amethyst shares trading higher after the company announced approval by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services for a $200 million of EB5 program investment for the Riverbank Sustainable Aviation Fuel Production Plant and Dairy Renewable Natural Gas Project, the Carbon Sequestration Project, and the energy efficiency upgrade of the Keys Ethanol Plant. Okay, so it looks like we've got some green energy themed PR here for ticker AMTX. The stock up 23.5% here in the pre-market. We're right below that VWAP. As always, we want to see how this does right out of the gate. If we pull right out of the gate here, I'd like this to hold this 420 level, but really important that it holds 4, in my opinion. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting for this thing to bottom out and show some type of strength to move back to the upside, instead of just like buying something that's selling off. So AMTX, what else you got on this one, 13?
Float is just over 35 million shares. No reverse splits, but I do see that they have some pretty substantial short interest here, 15.5% with over 14 days to cover. So this appears like it's getting a little bit of a short squeeze here as well, in addition to the as a result of the news. So this could end up moving a lot more. I just don't know where the shorts are kind of hiding out, at what levels. But this is something to watch for a squeeze. So that's my thought on this one.
Okay, there you go. We already talked about Micron. That's definitely a watch here for today. GOEV is next on this list, as this is trading higher here in the pre-market, up by 13%. We actually talked about GOEV, I think, these last 2 days here. Carmen, remind me again if this was one of the ones that you were, one of the smaller stocks that you're swinging here. GOEV making another attempt at the VWAP. One of the things that we saw yesterday on some of these smaller names is that VWAP, if the stock stays under it, that really is some strong resistance. So the next step in the trade plan here for GOEV is to show it can break through that VWAP and then hold it. Some of these other smaller stocks, we've seen them pop through their VWAP, but immediately pull back and have that candle close under it. So we want to make sure that's not what happens here on GOEV. We'll wait for that opening print to see if that's the case. And then the last one that I have here on the The movers list here is going to be Lassie. This is ticker LASE. This is definitely one that we've traded before. Laser Photonic shares trading higher after announcing a distribution agreement with the Incredible Supply and Logistics for its military and industrial laser solutions. Seems kind of general and fluffy in terms of the actual PR itself. This did pop above 210 up to about 214. It's really kind of come back in, retraced about 75% of that move. Has used the VWAP as resistance on any type of bounce attempt and is rolling over to the lows. So again, this really needs to firm up. This is not one that we want to just take right out of the gate here.
Yeah, I got about a 3.5 million share float. This is kind of in line with the risk on plays that we're starting to see as a result of the Fed decision. So this can do whatever it wants. I don't really think that the news is super important. I mean, it's
agreed,
good news for it, but there's no figures attached to it. So just a bunch of question marks on this one. I really, I just noticed that this was moving. That's really the only thing that's making it interesting. Other than that, I really don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, Chuck in the street here from the YouTube chat saying Lassie is a dog. LOL. Sure looks like it. Sure looks like it is here. Had a pop on kind of a fluffy PR and a rollover back towards balance. Like I said, I've got some better targets lined up here for today, but as per usual, we are going to cover the stocks that are going to gap on that opening print. These are some of them, and some of these, like Lassie, we are actually familiar with from previous sessions. So EKS giving us the warning here, 2 minutes till showtime. EKS, I got to be honest with you. The way I have my desktop laid out, I have my Slack app covering my broker's time where I normally monitor what time it is in the market. So the fact that you're actually giving us these warnings is extremely helpful to me. It's actually one of those little things just because of the way I have things arranged here. So shout out to you, EKS. Really appreciate that. Get ready. It's time to go pretty soon here. KAVL still on the scanner here. So basically the stocks that we just talked about on the scanner here, LU going for those highs, PAPL. We didn't really mention this, although this looks like this might move back towards the VWAP. Interesting daily formation here on PAPL. I don't know anything about this company. I have no position in this one, but this formation on the daily looks like maybe we break out of this consolidation, maybe a potential swing. I don't know. We'll see what happens when the market opens here.
And we've seen a big move recently in Bitcoin coming back up. So those are in play today as well. I wouldn't take them off our radar.
Yeah, good idea. And I would say, Bitcoin for me, I actually did a little bit more mining last night, and then we'll do a little bit more today as I'm in front of the television. But Bitcoin for me, something that we definitely want to watch all the time. I think that Bitcoin, BTC, the actual price of Bitcoin, prints 100,000 in this year.
And we're going to open.
Here we go.
All right. I will be back. You guys have a good open. I'll see you in about 30.
13. Will do. All right, folks. There he goes. That means I need this one, and we need to do this. See, I got it figured out here now. Okay, I'm gonna watch Micron here. This is the play, I would say, of all of the different plays. This is the one that I want to play the most. But we're gonna be patient. We're gonna wait for the setup. We're not gonna try and be a hero in any capacity. We're gonna wait for the trade to come to us. Let's see where Micron breaks. Let's see what you folks are looking at. NLSP being mentioned by Rick. That looks like offering news, right? Direct offering announced yesterday. That's just a 17-cent stock. I keep forgetting which one of these are penny stocks. SoFi being mentioned, this pulling off the open here. TRUG, that was one of the small guys from yesterday. That did pop here. Interesting on TRUG. Watch those intraday highs yesterday. Something we should be watching. Here's KAVL. Okay, through the VWAP here on KAVL, size here at 240. If it breaks this, it's likely going to keep going here. We really want this to stay above the VWAP on KAVL. At 240 spot, there's some size there, but it's got hit twice. They haven't taken it all yet. Here we go. 240 up again. Actually adding some shares there, KAVL. Watch out. If this doesn't break, this actually could pull. Something to keep in mind here. 240 up again. Digital, yes. Reddit is later today. We don't have a time on it yet. 240 down here, KAVL. 250 has about the same amount of size that we just ate there. See if 250 gets taken. Digital, anyway, like I was saying, yes. Reddit is today. Like I said, we don't know what time that is, but that is coming here today. So let me know if that's something you're looking for to trade here. KAVL up to that 250. This is actually a pretty decent move off to 220. If I was long anywhere near the lows of the day here, 222 to 225, probably paying myself on this first impulse move, at least trimming some. We've got some master class in trimming from some of the chat members the last few days. Jay, I know you had Crocs up again here today. 250 up here on KAVL, and they're taking it bang right through. That went as high as 254. I looked like I saw 260 there. KAVL out of the gate here, moving. I'm going to check back on Micron. Here we go. Let's see if we break that range. We're still in the no trade range. Let's see if we end up breaking this. Robert, you want to take a look at Verb? Guys, keeping me busy here. Verb, this is a penny stock that's pushing out of the gate. Sorry, Robert, I probably won't come back to this one. Verb here is moving, though. Jay mentioning IBM, no love off the Accenture report here. It's early in the day here. IBM actually hasn't breached yesterday's intraday lows. I'm not terribly worried about it. Let's see if we can get a challenge towards that 195 spot. VKTX, we are still cooking, baby. Let's go, Crow. Where are you at? Where my man Crow at? You at the bar getting ready for the basketball today, Crow? Think so. Let's see if we get a 73 and then a 75 test here. VKTX. Lift next target 20, almost there. LYFT. Robert says, yeah, love my micro penny stocks. Totally get it. And I used to be there too. This is just kind of a personal thing for me. I don't really do well with all of those. That's a me issue, not a you issue. Nothing wrong with trading those. If you're able to bank, man, bank. That's what's most important, that you're taking money home. Lift here continuing to push. 20 does look like the next spot. We talked a little bit about this Lift daily chart looking pretty good. We'll see where we can go here on Lift. A breakout above 20, I think this probably goes higher. Lift 20 up and gone. 2001 prints there on Lift. Let's go. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks that Trade the Pool had on there. So Tesla. So here we go. Okay, we broke the bottom end of that range. We're trading back to it. Let's see if we can actually get a entry here. You're going to come up there. There we go. Push up a little bit more. Push up to that VWAP. Let's see if we can get a Tesla short rolling here today. It's struggling at this point, folks. Look at that. Struggling right here. Okay, I'm going to take some right here. If this breaks on volume above that VWAP, we can close it and wait for another entry. But what I'm looking for here is this retest that we're doing right now. Now I'm looking for another move down towards maybe 173. 172. We'll see here. Tesla short 176.02. Let's see if Tesla actually breaks down or if this just continues to reverse. VWAP test coming up next here. I know you guys calling out some of the smaller stocks here. I will flip over to those, but do have a trade live right here. Let me go back to Micron here. Okay, so this is great. What I want to see on Micron here for this trade plan is a breakthrough and a retest of this. We'll see if we get it. Appreciate you, Lynn and Randy, keeping that on my radar here. Let's go ahead and actually set a... there we go. We should probably stop out of this. Let's see. No. I want to see if it's just kind of finding some more resistance at the VWAP or if this is a change in sentiment. Let's see here. We took the entry position here was small, so I can actually let this go instead of just panicking and getting shaken from it early. Let's see if Tesla actually builds above this VWAP or trades beneath it again. Tesla continuing to move higher here, not looking good for this potential short entry. I think 177.50, we're probably going to have to cut this one. We don't want this to get out of control here, but we also don't want to be shaken on a move above the VWAP for this just to knife right back down through that VWAP and through that 176.5 spot. Come on, Tesla. Jane, out KAVL 258. I will check on all of these here pretty soon, folks. Sorry about that. In fact, you know what I can do? Let's actually get the stop set. Then I can start rolling right away. 43. There we go. 177.51 going to be that stop there on Tesla. We'll see if we end up getting that. Let me roll over to some of the other stocks that you folks are trading. Here is KAVL. We look at this. First of all, I love what you folks are doing. This traded right up to the pre-market resistance. Did you folks trim there? Look, we're finding resistance there. Awesome job. 10% trade for me on CalV. Jeremy, you've been on it. I love that you've been taking these gains here. Good stuff there. Ran right into resistance and stopped there. So good stuff there on that trade on KAVL. Tesla will be reversing with the overall positive market trend. It'll start to trend back and go up. Should be back past the 183 resistance and start its road to 240. Snoops, if that happens, obviously there is no way that I want to be short through that. That is the downside protection. That is why we put the stop where we did. We'll see what Tesla ends up giving us here. Nice trade on CalV for any of you that, or excuse me, CavL. For any of you that took that here. Let's check in on Micron. That was maybe setting up. Okay, bouncing off the bottom end of that range. So still no trade trigger here yet. We'll see on Micron. NVIDIA was the other one that Trade the Pool had here. You can see NVIDIA is actually breaking beneath its pre-market range here. I left the previous range on because I wanted to see if NVIDIA would come into that range or maybe even bounce off the top end of that range. So didn't mark this new one off here today. But looks like NVIDIA fell out of that pretty early, but is trying to bounce here. Let's take a look at Tesla and see if we're getting crushed yet. Nope, not yet. The one thing I will say here about this price action, this has done a good job staying above this VWAP, this back and forth price action. The longer it does this, the more likely it is to go higher. We are approaching my stop level there. Let's see if we end up getting stopped out here. Carl taking MU calls right here. Okay, good luck on that. Jane saying, every time I tried to make a few extra bucks, the trade turned bad, so I stopped doing that. Well, there you go. So you basically just took gains a little bit sooner. Totally get that depending on the environment here. Okay, Tesla pushing up to the stop. This is likely going to be it for me, folks. We will see here on Tesla. VKTX still rocking. Any of you that traded VKTX from yesterday, we are now 6 points above entry on VKTX. Good stuff there. CCJ also doing a good job holding here. Awesome. Tesla right at that spot. Look, oh man, it was within 3 cents of my stop right there. Let's see if we get it right here. Lunar being mentioned by Webcoin. Let's check out Lunar, ticker LUNR. Lunar moving higher here out of the open. Took out its pre-market high on a pop there, but got pulled back on that. AMD topping out, says Quantum. Quantum, you looking for a short here on AMD? It did pop out of the open and came back under the VWAP. Quantum, let me know if you're looking for a short there. I don't want to speak incorrectly about it. BTTR getting asked about here. Was this a reverse split? I don't even see this thing moving here. NNOX, Charlie Squawk, Lynn, appreciate that. Good looking out here. NNOX popping off whatever that squawk was. NNOX continuing to move here. Let me know what the content of that squawk there was, Lynn. Be curious on that one. Let me see if I can find that. Don't see anything on that one here yet. This NNOX keeps going here. 1220s now on NNOX. Wow, big move there. A-Lab, this was a IPO from yesterday. It was not on my radar. We did have a gentleman trade this from the happy hour. Was about flat. Looks like this is taking another leg up here on A-Lab. CavL, Smoke Tuna, 251 to 285. Smoke Tuna getting some register rings here early. Bonjour, good morning. Let's go. Just moving in more NNOX. Okay, he's basically just calling price action, so there was no known catalyst, at least not yet. That makes sense here. KAVL, this continuing to go higher here. Looks like a 3 test coming here. This was a good one for all of you that traded this on the smaller names here. How did some of those other smaller names? I think it was AMTX. Or am I getting the AM? Yeah, AMTX. Yeah, this was another one here. That one resolving lower so far. Lassie the dog, as I think it was Chuck that was saying it, this straight rejected at its VWAP here. So this also not as strong. MU, let's check in on that. Okay, so it looks like we're trying to go lower here on MU. I don't have the risk tolerance to keep holding KAVL. Jeremy, this is an important realization. Everyone's risk tolerance is going to be different. The fact that you're identifying this, really good sign for your trading career going forward here. Tesla coming back up to that 177.50 spot, likely to get stopped out here. GOEV was crazy at the open. Okay, that was another one of those smaller names that we had pegged. Let's take a look and see on GOEV. So this was just some choppy back and forth action. We're actually currently beneath the VWAP here on this one. Sorry, I needed to take a breath there. What else you guys got going on here? Tesla still didn't stop me out. Can you imagine if I get within 3 cents of that stop price and then this trade ends up going green somehow? Can you imagine? DWAC getting a mention here. We expect that to be moving intermittently all the way up into and possibly even through November here. DWAC, nice move out of the gate here. Decent looking 15-minute chart, although very, very spready here. Looking around at some other stuff here. Jay Harris mentioning solar stocks popping. CZOO. What is this? Kazoo. This popping out of the open here, indeed. Coin going nuts. Take a look at Coinbase here. You know, Bitcoin still holding above 67,000. We're off the highs from earlier. It made a run at 68K, but couldn't quite get there. Coin looks like this is pushing higher here, though. Let's take another look back at Micron. All right, let's see if Micron can actually break down beneath this 109. Looking for a short entry here on Micron. We want to break that 109 and then back test it. Hey, Chuck in the street, getting about $800 there on NVIDIA early. Heading out early to watch the basketball. Chuck, I absolutely love it. Have a great one, man. Good short work day. You got to love it. You got to love it. All right, Micron, let's see if you're going to hold this 109 and maybe make an up move here. This range is what I don't want to be in. I think it can be choppy, go back and forth in that range. Bitcoin approaching 67K now, since we just mentioned that. By the way, Amazon popped out of the open here. So Amazon still maintaining its strength here. This sitting higher. I'd love to see this continue to go higher here. That butterfly is cooking. Butterfly is cooking. Still running up to that stop in Tesla. Still watching Micron. Crow mentioning Root. Root potential move to 55 here, Crow. This is off that low from yesterday. What, 44 about? Big move there in Root. Sound up. Here, this has been oh my God, look at the rip here on Sound. Who's trading SOUN? Size here at 850. Well, a lot of stock there at 850. We'll see if it ends up stopping here. This 15-minute chart totally in this sideways range here. This is what we want to see a breakout from. Got one of the top breakout spots here, going to be 950. We're still a ways away from that. Sound, though, this is a great pickup here, whoever was picking this one up. Sound ignored the downgrade here this morning. You think that'll last, Jay? Think that ignored downgrade will last or eventually come to fruition? Amazon amps up delivery speed to trust and tackle Alibaba rivals Temu. Okay, interesting. That must have been the Amazon news from this morning. It sounds slowing down here at this resistance area. Folks, look at Tesla. Look at Tesla. Let's see if we break down to the downside here on Tesla. We go through that. Might be pretty good here. Jay going on to say it's always a good sign when a name ignores a downgrade, in my opinion. Jay, I completely agree with you. In fact, if we have a stock that, let's say, if you get a stock that has like 3 or 4 downgrades in the morning and that stock doesn't really sell off a lot there, a lot of the times I'll look for a potential long trade right there. The selling just seems to be exhausted. This is particularly the case if the stock has already been in kind of a downtrend, and then near the bottom of that downtrend, you get more downgrades and the stock almost doesn't react to it. That sometimes can signal a change in sentiment there. I'm with you on that 100%. When they ignore those, that's notable. VKTX taking 74 now. Boy, we hooked one, folks. Tell you what, that floating island formation, you love to see it. You just love to see it. Very, very high percentage move there. VKTX. DWAC here continuing to move. Looks like this is trying to push above its VWAP. We'll see if this actually gets some more juice. Would like to see some more volume here on DWAC, frankly. Kevin, you said you're with me short there on Tesla. Good luck, my man. I think that's what you were. That's the only short position I have right now, so that must be it. See if we end up getting that move lower on Tesla. Look at this. Look at this. Tell you what, let's see if we snap that 175 to the downside. This could really, really accelerate here. All right. Looking around. Some other ones. CDLX, this is one that we talked about yesterday. It's actually making another move up here today. CDLX. Crow mentioning CRDF, looking for 6+ on CRDF. This trading up out of the gate. This actually did take yesterday's intraday highs. They pulled it right back beneath, but it did take it here. CRDF. RGLS. This stupid stock. Regalis Therapeutics. This actually looks like this is curling back up here. RGLS. I'm looking at, I see the market kind of rolling over here. Qs rolling over. SPY pushed up to 524 and was rejected. Maybe I'll back off that rolling over comment. We're still positive here. Let's see if we get some continued downside selling. If this really kind of gets down to what we got, this is the Qs. This gets down to maybe 443-ish. Then we could see some accelerated selling here on the Qs. They are at the lows here, intraday lows on the Qs. How's NVIDIA doing? That was another one of the stock from trade. Okay, look at NVIDIA. We're back to the bottom of that range here. And actually, this probably would have been a good one. This back tested that pre-market range and then moved lower here. Let's see what we get here at 900 on NVIDIA. Any of you folks that are watching or stalking entry on NVIDIA, how are you looking to trade this, NVIDIA? Jay saying a Micron looks like the high print was the opening. Don't chase. I'm with you there. My setup here on Micron would be a break lower from this 109 bottom area of this channel, and then we'd actually look to short that. And that, again, that's just a day trade. I love this company, and I think that this is a great company, and I would never hold it short for a long period of time. But for a particular scalp here, if we get the setup, we'll take the setup. Micron does look like it's trying to curl back to the VWAP here. Let's take another look at Tesla. Oops, did I have the cursor in the wrong? Sure did. TSLA here. All right, so Tesla so far holding that 175. Look, it's going to try and take 176 again. Another rejection at the bottom of this channel here would be awesome for this particular trade. Is Hoth halted? Let's take a look here. Here is Hoth. I don't think so. I don't see it on my halt scanner in Benzinga Pro. No, Hoth is open at the moment, just is not trading on high volume. And this is one of the reasons why I talk so much about the volume, because when, especially some of these junkier stocks, especially on some of these, when the volume leaves, look at this stock. This is just sitting here. It's not really doing anything. This is not what we want as day traders. We want to be able to kind of find some stocks that are moving around. Hoth here, no volume, no movement. This not for me. I tried to warn people about the Hoth system yesterday and the day before. KAVL, this is actually doing a decent job holding above its VWAP. Might make another run towards the top there. TGL, that was one from earlier this week, Webcoin. What's that doing? Looks like a little dip out of the open here back to VWAP. I don't see much here on TGL. Curry. That's C-U-R-I, not Steph Curry. This is a penny stock looking like it's trying to join dollar territory, some size here at 96 cents. Name the system. The Star Wars quotes are great. Love it thinking about it. I got that one right away. OCGN pushing up here. This is another smaller name pushing up out of the gate. An OCGN. So what does the scanner have? WDC. Western Digital. Okay, did they have earnings today, Western Digital? Did I not have that on my list? Shame on me. Trading higher amid strength in Micron, which gain? Okay, so no, WDC, just a sympathy play to Micron. Actually, this one might be a regression to the mean trade as well. Let's take a look back at Micron. All right, here we go with this level. Here we go with this level. Let's see a break beneath and a retest of it. Looking around here, Amazon pulled back off that initial pop. Hey, take a look at SSYS. This is an absolute dog of a trade for me. This actually popping here today. Really want this to get back to 14. I can probably end this trade here. I've worked my average down a little bit over the past several months, but this trade, I can't really even consider it a winner, even if I do sell it for a small gain. Tesla here. Let's see. More downside, baby. Let's go. Let's break that 175 on Tesla. Let's break it. AMTX curling back to the VWAP. This was on our list from this morning. MU bouncing off that 109 lower end of the range there. That's why we want to wait these out. We want to get that clear shot. VKTX pulling back. Someone said it earlier. I couldn't catch the name, or I can't remember the name. Pullbacks definitely normal and healthy. Completely agree with that. VKTX, this has been hot ever since we bought it. Nice little pop here. Frankly, if this comes all the way back in towards 71 and bounces there, I'd feel real good about it. VKTX. VRT being mentioned by KB in the chat. See how VRT is doing. This is looking like it's trying to drift higher here. Pre-market high test coming right here. Tesla, that 175 downside test here. Let's see. Do we break this and go lower? There we go. We broke it. Where we go? Okay, it's still battling right there at 175. Still battling there. Looking around at some of the other stuff. I see Chewy being mentioned on CNBC. They had earnings last night, didn't they? Yeah, popped and went higher and now drifting lower here on Chewy. Hate to see it. Love that company. Jay mentioning Lyft. Jay, this was such a good trade. I know we've been on this one for a while. Look at that. That snapped that 20 and continuing to move higher here on Lyft. What a great trade on that one. Tesla still beneath that 175. Let's get a push lower here on Tesla and we can book some gains. CZOO. That continuing to push higher here. GOEV is pushing. Carl saying on Tesla, under 174.40, you'd be adding more puts. You'd be looking to increase short exposure on a break beneath that. Okay, good to know. Who with a pet doesn't use Chewy? Carmen, that is a good question. That is that is my thesis for liking that stock, in addition to the way they treat their customers and their customers' pets. I don't know. I mean, I see Chewy boxes everywhere I go. Apartment building, condo units, houses. It doesn't matter. Chewy boxes are plentiful. GOEV, as long as this can hold above the VWAP, we should be in good shape. Tesla now, another leg lower here. You love to see it. Boy, this setup again. The good thing here, too, about this particular setup, we came back through this level, but because we properly sized into it, we weren't too worried about being short. We had a stop. It got within pennies of that stop, and now it ends up moving here. So let's see on Tesla. Nice little setup there. Fairly easy to trade as it continues to obey its levels. You're welcome, Richard. I appreciate the kind words. Let's check in on Micron as we've been waiting for that one here. Still in its range on Micron. They sent my dog a birthday card, says Jane. Let's go. I believe they send me birthday cards. They handwrite them, or it was a Christmas card, a holiday. They have like someone is actually like writing on a card. Like they're not just hitting Control P and printing it. Y10 being mentioned as being on watch. Is that a penny stock? Yeah, Y10 is a penny stock here. Looks like it's trying to reclaim its VWAP though. VRT getting mentioned again. Was this? Who mentioned? Jay, was this a mention from you the other day, VRT, or was this on the happy hour? I can't remember. Someone brought this up to me. And my goldfish memory is letting me down right now, unfortunately. This is a nice looking move here, though. VRT. Tesla continuing to push lower. Let's go. Oh, look at Goldman Sachs trading above 400. Yeah, you were just mentioning the other day how JPM strongest in its class, I think. Correct me if I got that wrong. Goldman Sachs here looking really strong. Nice little breakout out of this consolidation area here on the daily. VRT, Dennis bought it much cheaper. That doesn't surprise me even a little bit. Still looking here. Lassie, I see on the scanner, but that's going lower. Whoever called this a dog earlier, you nailed it. You nailed it. AMTX also staying under its VWAP here. How's Pinduoduo doing after yesterday? More lows, it looks like. We drifted lower here on Pinduoduo. Okay. Micron still in the range. Tesla still paying us. Ain't no complaints yet this morning, folks. I think we got basketball coming up here. Oh, Jay, after golfing last week, when the weather was actually somewhat tolerable, weather is going to be in the 30s all weekend. So I might try to find a driving range with heated awnings just to get some swings in. But I'm at that stage now where golf season is officially starting. I don't have time for this weather BS to keep me off the course. So a little bit disappointed with the weather this weekend, but I'll get some swings in there. KAVL, new highs. Crow taking a look at that with some of those smaller stocks here. This one definitely been the biggest winner here off that smaller list. Again, remember, we do expect the market volume to dry up a little bit here. Micron trying to bounce back to its VWAP. PDD, Gary is mentioning PDD actually lower than when they announced earnings. Gave up the entire earnings move. You can actually see that right here on the 15-minute chart. This was that move up towards 151 from 128, current price 128.50. So it is right there. Gave back that entire move, Gary. You're absolutely right. Tesla, I got 173.46. That would be our target level. In fact, let me go ahead and set that up. I'm going to do it right before. There we go. It looks like a 2.5 risk to reward on this trade. Maybe 2 to 1 risk to reward on this. We'll see if we end up getting filled there on Tesla. Tesla, as my man Rob used to say. Rip, baby. MU here, back to the VWAP. Let's see if we can actually move through and to the top end of the range here. Remember, 114, the top end of that range, if this gets going. Palantir being mentioned at session lows. We got a trade set up there. No, I'd actually like this to come in a little bit lower. Let's have this come in more towards low 24s, currently in the high 24s. Let's see this come in another 70 cents maybe. Tesla near the daily support. Well, I want one more push lower, Glenn, and then we should be in good shape. Kalu, good morning, Kalu. Hope you are well. TRUG here, pushing up. All right. Looks like this is going to get going again. VKTX, after that initial move up, has sold off. So watch this one here, VKTX. I would start paying a little bit closer attention if it moved beneath 70, but right here, like we were saying earlier, pullbacks healthy. Not a bad thing. D is asking what's going on with NVO. We can take a look at that. Do we need to grab news from this? Novo Nordisk rolling over here. Let me see. Let me take a peek at that here real quick. NVO. Man, I don't have. This just looks like trading action. This just looks like trading action, my man. Down only 2.5% here, so nothing really out of the ordinary. It's, I mean, this thing here, this will give you a really good idea. Well, how on earth did that? There we go. So here's your daily chart for NVO. I mean, look at the move that this thing has made. This little bit of a pullback here, this is really nothing to be worried about. Frankly, I think this can pull back even further and give us, what, 125? Let's zoom in on that and make this easier instead of being an idiot. 125. You got maybe $2 more here on NVO on a healthy pullback. Well, now, how did this happen? This is not. Here we go. I'll get it figured out yet, folks. Don't worry. Let's take a look. What else are you folks looking at here? We got a bounce here in Tesla off that daily support level. Yes, we do. So I think right in here is what we would not want to lose. Tesla, that's, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see here on Tesla. Jay mentioning ticker LNC. My calls are back to life. April 30s were 15 cents yesterday, and today they're 60 cents. I've actually got some calls opened up on ticker LAC that immediately went down. Those are starting to come back. We'll see if those end up getting back to balance here. Ticker LAC. That trade not working for me, at least not so far. Cavel, crazy move being mentioned here. Yeah, it is. That's pushing again here on Cavel. Should expect 13 back here any second now. Hey, there he is. Look at that. His ears are burning.
Oh, man, you set that up.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. But thanks for spoiling it for everybody. We move on. Tesla, look at this, 13. We got our setup. Look at, and the best part, I don't know if you were here for this. I set my stop at 177.50. We got within 3 cents on these wicks. It was not stopped out, and then the trade plan worked.
Okay, so 180 not happening.
Not yet. Tesla is trying to bounce down here, though, so I don't want to write it off just yet.
All right. So Henry Cavill taking off like Superman.
Henry Cavill. That's what we're calling KVL now. Henry Cavill.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Look at the move here, though.
Oh man, look at Rocket still squeezing. That's great.
You want to talk about that here? Why don't you talk about your Rocket thesis? I'm actually going to step away for just 1 sec, but go ahead and mention what you talked to me about with Rocket here, because we are seeing that move today.
Well, aside from this being here, let me see if you got it up there. Okay. So aside from this being a short squeeze, because they have some high short interest, 16.33%, 9.62 days to cover. Aside from that, there's an emerging theme that I think might be happening here with the National Association of Realtors settlement that happened recently. So that big change, I think, might lead to more buyers trying to take things on themselves. We've discussed this in happy hour, and I think that this company could be one of those entities that could benefit from that pretty significantly. This one, maybe companies like LegalZoom, maybe United Wholesale, Loan Depot, they might have an angle here helping those buyers, since it would otherwise have to, agents aren't going to come so cheaply anymore. And there's a lot of things that agents do that they might have to start offering a la carte now as a result of this settlement. So the thought here is that Rocket and some of these other mortgage companies that help people along with getting finance might also be helping them with the purchase of the home, as the other aspects. That's just a thought. I don't know how true it is, but I do know that this is squeezing.
Well, let me add to your thesis here, 13. I came back at just the right time. Full disclosure, Rocket, a family of companies here in Benzinga, as we are in the same building. I've actually used Rocket Mortgage. I've used them twice. I used them for the second property mortgage from the primary origination, and I also used them to refi my existing mortgage on the place that I live in. I'll say this about Rocket. I've dealt with, I think, 4 or 5 different human beings at that company, and all of them have exceeded my expectations. Every one of them, from the first person I talked to on the phone, which was probably an entry-level job, up to the person that I worked with through my mortgage. There was one night where I had a question about a tax mishap, and I called the person that I had worked with after hours while she was cooking dinner. And she stopped to make sure that I had the help that I need and I had the questions answered. So given what you were just saying there, 13, I got to think, I knew for me as a home buyer, I had a lot of questions, and I was going to ask those questions to anyone that could have given me some answers. And I got great treatment from Rocket and their employees. So I know it's anecdotal and not data-based, but factor that in, given what you were just saying there.
Yeah. And then interestingly enough, yesterday we had a bit of an insider buy, not a whole lot of shares, but I thought that was interesting that they'd be buying here, and it's still continuing to squeeze. So and there's also an inverse head and shoulders on the daily chart that I.
So there's basically like a whole bunch of stuff that
there's a whole bunch of
trading this one. Okay, insider buy, by the way, Matthew Rizek, a director, adding 772 shares. So not adding a whole lot. He's actually building one of his positions. He owns almost 700,000 shares. So it looks like that was just kind of filling out his position. AMTX being mentioned by the tuna. AMTX, that did move through its VWAP. And actually, look at that. It tested the VWAP first, then moved through it. This continuing higher here. CZOO getting mentioned here in the chat. This also through the VWAP. Let's see if we push away here. This one a little bit thinner here. CZOO.
And
Danger Boy.
Too.
Danger Boy, pretty cool name there. AMD here, where's it going? Well, we just had kind of a healthy pullback here today. We are still holding above that 50-day moving average. So on the daily chart, I like this here. We'll see. This is going to trade with the market here. So if this market breaks to new highs like 13 was talking about earlier, I think AMD probably resolves higher here. But if we just kind of chop around, I could see AMD drifting back in a little bit. We want to see it stop at that 50-day. Yeah, heard this too, Jay Summers. Jay Summers mentioning some realtors speculate that buyers and sellers are taking things into their own hands, opens a potential future litigation issues. Indeed. Now, keep in mind, we've had for sale by owner for as long as I've been alive. But what Jay Summers is saying here with some of these rule changes, I agree. I think that you will probably increase the amount of litigation, and no offense to anyone out there, but I don't think that the answer to a better world is more lawyers. That's just me. But yeah, I think that that's going to happen. Quantum talking about Pan W. This is another one that I've been watching for a potential swing trade here. Liftoff seems, well, it's a play on words, so I can appreciate that. I like where your head's at. That's cool. I don't really think that this is blasting off. Now, as far as Pan W goes, and 13, if you need to interrupt me, go ahead and do that. But as far as Pan W goes here, easy for me to say. What we're looking at, or at least what I'm looking at here, is more of a test around this 200-day. I understand that it did a good job holding this bottom channel here. We're kind of chopping around. Maybe if we continue to do that and the 200-day creeps up a little bit and we can stay above that, we can actually add this for a move higher here on PanW. I do like this in terms of cybersecurity. Best in breed. We had this last trade here on the 3 closes above the 200-day. That trade was an absolute banger of a trade. I know we got the Pelosi push. We'll see what happens this next time around here. I do like PanW. I'd like this to come in a little bit lower before actually grabbing it.
Looks like CZU is trying to take out the highs of 512. I don't have levels for this yet, so I should probably put these in, but this was not something that was on my radar this morning.
CZOO, just some from real quick eyeballing here, 13. I've got 435 as a downside level and 515 as an upside level, CZOO. A-Lab, this was the IPO from yesterday. This setting up here for another run on A-Lab. Astera Labs, this is actually not a company I'm familiar with. Generally, when IPOs come out and I don't know much about them, I will kind of slowly do some due diligence on it just to kind of get familiar with it. Haven't started that yet on A-Lab here.
How's the trading been looking with Reddit?
Reddit is not open yet.
Not open? Okay.
I'm not sure why it's being spammed in the chat. It is not open yet. Likely not going to open till closer to the lunch hour on Reddit.
Yeah, I think there's just excitement. People want to know what we think about
it. Oh, yeah. There's definitely going to be some excitement for Reddit. That is for sure true. Okay, you know what we're going to do with this Tesla trade now? We are going to make sure that gains get booked. That stop we're going to put at the bottom of these 2 candles. So we have a target price. We have a stop price. We no longer need to check it on this trade. We are guaranteeing some gains booked. This setup worked yet again. I think one of the things as a next step for some of these setups are going to be a size increase to try and boost some of these returns. So I'm going to be looking to start that probably next week. We'll see if we get any other plays here tomorrow. Again, with this low volume, I don't necessarily want to be a step up in size into a low volume environment, and I'm absolutely expecting that here today and tomorrow. But we are good here with Tesla. Okay, let's move on to VRT. VRT, this continuing to push here. Wow.
And CZU had new high days, and I think it could end up going higher. The next level that I have for this one, if we get a close over this, let's call it $5 level. If we get a close over that, I'd be looking for 590 next. We did have a high of 588, not too far away, but I'd like 590 better. So we're going to be looking at, I'm going to be looking at that as the next level up.
Now, CZOO did take that intraday high out, pulled back beneath it. I see them loading up some stock here on the offer. So we're going to need to chew up some of those sellers before we move higher here, CZOO. ANGH, Carm, we can take a look at that. No problem. Here is ANGH. This is Angami. Don't think I'm familiar with this. This is actually having a nice pop here recently, right out of that consolidation area of $1. This is up 100% in just a few days out of that pop there. What is this, Carm?
ANGH. That's the sound. That's how you spell the sound I make when I stub my pinky toe on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, this is the sound you yell when you step on a Lego, one of your kids' Legos.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. Stopped out of Tesla, by the way, so we booked some of those gains. Not as much as we could have had because we set a stop on the bounce back. But again, we're trying to turn this into a mechanical process here. Want to be able to kind of repeat the same thing over and over again. Maybe I did get stopped out at an unfortunate spot here, but still booked some gains here on Tesla. We're going to look to continue to hit this setup. Micron here, we are still waiting on a break beneath 109. We'll see if we get that here on Micron. 13, we're also taking a look at Zim. I know we talked about this yesterday. This is one I'm still swinging down on this very, very small position, but we've both talked about the thesis here being what's going on in the world, some of the disruptions to shipping. You talked about the Houthis firing on ships. And so I don't think the story here is done in Zim. We've seen it actually move up nicely yesterday, and it looks like we're doing that again here today.
Yeah, I intend to sell into the strength of this. I'm just under my position at this point, but I want to see a little bit more upside. I think I'll probably get it. But yeah, I don't think this is over by any stretch of the imagination. And as long as there's still a Hamas-Israel war in Gaza, this is going to be ongoing. That's the Houthis' reasoning for why they're continuing to attack, merchant ships and U.S. vessels. So this Middle Eastern regional conflict is still ongoing, and until we see some alleviation on the volatility in that region, I don't think this is over.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like I said, I have such a small position that holding it even through a downside move, not that big of a deal. We've talked about sometimes adding positions very, very small just to force you to watch them can sometimes be extremely helpful. I do that often. I've done that with Archer, and I've actually started adding to Archer on some of the down moves here. So doing the same thing here in Zim, I agree. I don't think the story's written on that yet either. Also, Crow mentioning LSF here. This actually broke above yesterday's intraday highs here. Looks like we're pushing higher here on LSF. KB mentioning PayPal. Take a look at PayPal. This is actually a decent daily chart here, especially if we can break above this last high here. Had that at about 68.63, 2 points away from where we're at now. And don't look now, but VKTX, we were talking about having a healthy pullback. Sure seems like that's what we've done. We'll see what happens here at the VWAP at 72.5, but a nice bounce here, VKTX. Mara printing 23s here. So Mara moving to the high end of the range. See if we can take out the pre-market highs there. Looking at Bitcoin, we sold off to 66,700, it looks like. Back above 67,000 here. Remember, that's the futures chart from the CBOE that I'm quoting you. Oh, did we get flushed in Tesla, folks? Looks like it. Looks like we got flushed on the bounce back. So I'll factor that in for when we actually trade this same setup here tomorrow. But again, very, very happy with how these setups have been working and how mechanical the process has been. Remember, one of the things that we focus on here is the process, not necessarily the amount. The amount is going to be controlled by your risk parameters, and that varies for everyone. Really, what's going to be more important here is the process. So glad to see this continuing to work. We're going to keep trying to hit it. Micron back to its VWAP.
Yeah, a little concerned about CZU with volume looking like it's starting to slow down, and we got some upper shadows here that don't look too encouraging. I'd like to see it hold VWAP here if they're going to continue with the upside. And Cavill looks like he decided to descend down to earth. Maybe he found some krypton, but it looks like if we hold VWAP, we could get a reversal. There's also we also had this price action this morning that brought us up to about $3 before we came back in and then broke through it. So I'd be looking at $3 as a potential support as well.
Okay, that would be a big move from where we're at now. 2 points beneath where we're at now. VKTX, by the way, back to its VWAP here. AMTX looks like this is moving here, continuing to move away from its VWAP. Love that. Coin, seeing some coin option sweeps, courtesy of Benzinga Pro. Thank you, Benzinga Pro. Saw some Micron call sweeps earlier, too. Looks like they were loading up on calls as that moved into the bottom of the range there. Ticker MU.
Oh, that's a nice daily move for coin.
Let's take a look at it here together. Yeah. Let me bring it up on the bigger chart, and we can marvel at the move. Here you go. Look at that. You are, oh my God, 13. You're absolutely right. Shame on me for not looking at a daily chart sooner here. Look at this move here on coin. Right off that 20-day new highs here on coin. This thing's got some strength, folks.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. I think the miners aren't going to fare as well as coin will. I think coin's going to do much, much better.
Do you guys remember when people were saying Kathy was a moron and coin was dead in a 50 handle? Good times. Good times.
Well, there was a lot of really, really speculative things that she was getting herself into.
Indeed.
Like she was getting into DraftKings, Archer, all these things that were on the downside.
By the way, let's talk about DraftKings. Someone brought this. I think it was Jay Rice, actually, that brought this up at the beginning of the week. Jay, look at this call. You brought this up before we actually broke out of this daily formation here. Here we go. We are cooking. Part of me wonders if this is going to be a sell the news move on Monday. DraftKings here pushing out of this. It's a good-looking chart here on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's crazy that it didn't, come in further after their earnings. Usually, when you have Super Bowl and then the earnings that follow, I think that same week or the week after, we've noticed that typically it tends to come in. Not this time. This time it just kind of consolidated and went higher.
Kevin asking a question here. Can you explain option sweeps, bullish sweeps, and bearish sweeps? Absolutely, I can. And if anyone else has anything they'd like to add, love to do that too. So option sweep. So you will sometimes see options trader, what they call sweep up a bunch of calls. Now, this differs from a trade in the sense that what they're doing is they're trying to put an order out there that says, no matter what the route is, use any route that you can, grab up all of these contracts that match this price for this particular strike and expiry. And a lot of the times you'll notice that sometimes these sweeps happen at the high end of the bid-ask spread. So if the contract is spread 25 cents and you're seeing a whole bunch of calls just sweeping and attacking that ask, that is generally viewed as a bullish move. Now, the only caveat here is that if you can guarantee that you know if this transaction is an opening or a closing transaction, you can go a step further to determine if that was a closing trade or an opening trade. That information not always available, and in some cases not known, just kind of guessed at. The other thing about option sweeps is that when you see stocks move to very key levels, especially on longer time frames like daily, weekly, and monthly, and then you start seeing a bunch of option activity pick up there, a lot of the times what they're doing is just trying to sweep up as many contracts as they can at those key levels there. The other thing, you've seen this probably with the Nigerians, they used to be on CNBC. They basically follow the largest sweeps, right? They're looking for the big 10,000 contract purchases, and then they're jumping in there. I guess the figuring there, if it's good enough for that big of a purchase, it's probably good enough for theirs as well.
Cavill looks like it's trying to move off of the support that it found. Not convinced that this is going to be the up move that we're looking for, but we need to kind of see some more expansion of volume first. But it's getting pretty close. Like it could take out that intraday high.
Indeed, and actually looks pretty good here as it's trying to curl up from that VWAP area. One more note there on option sweeps real quick. A lot of the times you can actually, whether or not you believe the trader that's taking the large option position, you can actually capitalize on this. Sometimes you'll see stocks, let's just say stock X or XYZ is at 26.50. And you see a whole bunch of calls being bought. Sometimes you'll see that stock price move from 26.50 to 27. That 50 cents in there can be a scalp trade. And you're basically trying to capture that movement based on being triggered by those option sweeps. So a lot of traders watch those. You're welcome, Kevin. It's not the up move the droids were looking for.
Nice one.
Mode. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, please correct me. Ryan, if you have to choose between day trading and options, I think what you mean there is day trading stocks and options. Which one would win? I think what you're asking me there is which one would I choose? The one thing to keep in mind here with options is obviously you can have much higher profits, which with less risk, but more volatile. Remember, 80% of option contracts expire worthless. I would choose the stock. I do better when trading stock. I've told you guys a number of times, day trading is not my favorite, but even in that position, I would rather trade stock than options. I just feel like I have more of a feel for them. That's a personal thing, though, not necessarily a right or wrong answer there. Mark, bringing up another really good point here about option sweeps. They could also be a hedge. Indeed. And in fact, if you have an institutional client that has a ton of resources, sometimes those hedges can be pretty sizable as well. This is a really good point. And this is another point why option sweeps, in my opinion, should not be the sole determining factor on your trade. They can be added as a data point to help support your thesis, but I would caution you to trade based solely off option prints unless it's a really quick scalp like we just discussed. Good stuff there, Mark.
Looking for some more volume here in Cavill. I still want to see this try to push up. It's just not having the greatest time right now, but it looks like it could still go if we get that volume to expand.
Yeah, the key that you're talking about, 13, in my opinion here, is in fact the volume. You can see it is drying up a little bit here. We want the opposite of that, right? We want to see that expand and grow. That would give us a trade here.
Yes, sir.
I think just judging by me kind of looking around at what other day traders are doing, it seems to me that KAVL here, the top target of the day. So I would imagine that this is what's going to have most of the volume there, and this should be on deck for most of the day here. Micron's still struggling to get above its VWAP. I'm not going to rule this out, although I don't know if I'd actually take this as a day trade later on in the afternoon just because of the volume drying up, like I've discussed a number of times here. But Micron here really kind of holding in this range. And actually looking at – what's that?
I said take care, Quantum.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, take care of yourself, Quantum. Thanks for joining us again. Sorry, 13. Sometimes I just got on a roll. I've had a ton of coffee. I'm really excited today.
Sisu halted, by the way.
Sisu halted. Okay. I love how you just casually throw in news there, too. That's really great. Halted on the big knife that took us through the VWAP, by the way.
Just kind of sprinkle that information in there. I'm trying to just, not talk over you and try to throw the information out so you at least hear it. But yeah, to your point about Cavill being a runner today, it's, for the first time in a while, we have two 100% runners. It was looking, pretty light lately. So this is nice to see again. But still need to see that volume expand. And
Danger Boy saying Danger Boy says we have good chemistry. 13. Yeah. Indeed, we do, and that's actually what makes this so much fun. Danger Boy, what I would say is stick around, because what you'll also notice is that the chat has great chemistry too, and you are now a part of it, my man. So we are all about the raising the tide for everybody on this channel.
Cavill, the big mover with no news. I love it. Getting a mention on Boeing.
Yep. Boeing back up to that one. Look at this. Look at the bounce. We talked about this in happy hour as this 177 potentially being a bounce spot. This coming right from the daily. Look at that double bottom here. Next move for me is going to be it might be very difficult for you folks to see. I apologize about that. I've got a red line here. It's the 20-day simple moving average. The value for that 193.97. I think if we actually take that out, that also kind of is right beneath the bottom of this consolidation area. I think if we take that out, Boeing could move higher here, maybe a 215 target. That's your 100-day moving average.
I'm not going to say it couldn't get up there, but I have some reservations that it goes much higher. We're at the 500-day SMA, and I think that that was
when you take
level.
A break here.
I think that was a big level on the way down to get through. It had support one day and then fell through it the next. So if we get resistance today, we could go above it, but I given all the headwinds with Boeing, I'm not sure that it goes a whole lot further than this today.
There you go. Good stuff there, 13. Smoke Tuna mentioning ticker LIDR. This is AI here. Big pop. Not a whole lot of volume, but elevated. We actually popped above yesterday's intraday high. That's definitely bullish. Let's see if we can hold above this here. That level 167, ticker LIDR. GOEV also being mentioned here in the chat. That was moving earlier. GOEV to the top end of that pre-market range. This still has some strength as well. KAVL still holding out here. Watch for the knife on this one. This is the only thing I'd want to avoid here is a knife to and through VWAP, which we just saw. What was that? CZOO. That's what ended up halting it. This is what I want to avoid. Okay. So if you're going to still trade KAVL, maybe have a stop. So here we go. Now all we just need to do is break out of the top side of that range. Forget selling off.
You just needed to say something about it.
That's it. Just needed to talk about it. That's it.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can get that volume to expand and get a break over 389. Looks like the high was already. A lot of sellers in the way. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Apple pounding the lows here, actually beneath that 175.25 level that we had from the previous day. Apple looks like this is moving lower here. The interesting thing to note about this, although the Qs are still kind of trading sideways here, Apple certainly seems to be the weakest of the group.
Oh yeah, big time. It's the big loser of the Mag 7 today.
Yep, indeed. Even our Tesla short that we ended up playing here, this actually looks like it might roll over here. Apple much weaker.
Yeah.
How's SMCI doing? I don't even think I've pulled this up here yet today. Okay, SMCI firming up. Maybe we bounce here.
Just not a lot of confidence in what Apple's doing right now, but I do want to own it at a lower price because I think eventually they'll get it together. Maybe even get a new CEO. I don't think Tim Cook is going to be there a whole lot longer, considering that he's costing his company almost $500 million just by saying things.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point here, 13, because I'm with you on this. I think that
Cavill going.
Say again?
Cavill going.
Let me bring that up here real quick.
He did this and then took off.
There it is. Watch that top end there on KAVL. You know, with Apple, I'm with you on that. The innovation definitely lacking. Tim Cook, not known for his innovation, been there a while now. I could see the CEO getting replaced. The one thing I will say is that if Apple really comes into some of these levels that we've identified, namely 165 and 160, I'm a buyer down there, at least for a trade. I'm still long my investment. CZOO is open?
Yes. But Cavill, I think, is going to take out those highs.
Good morning. Stay focused. Great to have you here as always. Good morning. Are people selling to get ready for the Reddit IPO? Well, they're selling some names. We were just talking about Apple. Sure looks like they're selling Apple here today. We did have a nice a trade here in Tesla. We actually got stopped on the bounce, but the setup actually worked. And frankly, Micron was not able to hold the top end of its range. Now, Micron hasn't broken down yet. That's one of the things that I'd be looking for. NVIDIA, another one here, really having trouble setting new highs. So some names are being sold here. Again, with the whole thing with Reddit here, this is something that I'm going to pass on and just kind of watch. But it would love to know how you folks are trading it.
That's a good point, Carmen. We'll have to watch for what gets said out of the next ER. That's a good point.
Real quickly here, good question here. Funky Cold Stocks, another just tip-top name handle here on YouTube. We got a ton of those here. What 3 time frames are you using, Ryan? Well, first of all, as a caveat, I use more than 3, but the 3 that you're seeing here constantly on the Trade the Pool broker is going to be the daily chart right up here, the hourly chart right up here, and a 3-minute chart whose parameters I took from one of the chat members here, Smoke Tuna. So if I flip back to Benzinga, which you will also show me or see me showing, easy for me to say, here are the different time frames that I use: 1, 5, 15, 1 hour, daily, weekly, and monthly. A lot depends on what we're looking at. This is a good question, though.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Stay focused. And Carmen, yes, I did watch that. It was tough to watch, and I personally think that it never should have. That interview never should have happened.
Is that the Don Lemon interview
with Musk? I think both of those guys made kind of fools of themselves. It never should have happened. I'm not going to go beyond that, though.
Yeah, it seemed to me like they just attempted to make it a gotcha interview, and Elon wasn't having any of it, and it did come off kind of awkward and maybe cringe, as the kids say. Oh, yeah. I didn't. Let's put it this way: I didn't take much from it, given the opinions I already had. I didn't take anything new. Probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, they just wanted to try to get his view on the political talking points, and it just was a disaster in my opinion. There were some things he said that I actually admired, like toward the end, about what he's trying to do with SpaceX and trying to make humans an interplanetary species. I mean, there were that whole thing that he said at the end there, I think is a good soundbite, but I don't think that some of the questions he was asked were very fair, nor I think that Don Lemon's research was very good, and he said a lot of very incorrect things. So I don't want to even get into it.
Yeah, that's when you have both ends of the interview subpar, it's tough to really take much from that. I'm with you on that one. By the way, KAVL trading up to the top end of the range here. Real quick, folks, we actually only have 5 minutes left here today. We're shortening the show by a little bit. We do have some more content after us. We're actually going to be welcoming on Zunaid. And let me see here. We're going to have all access starting at 10:40. So be sure to stick around for that. 13 and I going to finish this off here, but you will be seeing Zunaid here pretty soon. So sit tight and don't go anywhere. We got a full day planned for you.
Yeah, this has been a fun day so far. Even though I haven't been here for some of it.
Sure has. Well, if you're saying it's been a fun day so far, and that means that the traffic wasn't terrible and you didn't want to wring someone's neck based on said traffic.
Look, as soon as I walk through the door, all that BS goes out the window. So, it was raining too. So the idiocy of people on the road kind of exponentially moves up. It's frustrating. It's frustrating driving with people.
You're putting it nicely there. By
I'm
the way,
trying to.
Google here. Stay focused, asking what gives with the selling here in Google. This, we couldn't quite challenge that high there. It looks like we're kind of rolling over here. Same deal, though. I wouldn't necessarily be worried about Google unless we broke 147 to the downside. I think we could see some more downside move there, but a little bit of a pullback here wouldn't necessarily, especially given the move that we had in the afternoon yesterday. Not reading too much into that, but I have no position in Google, so keep that in mind too. No, Lion, you were not blocked. You were timed out because you were speaking in all caps, and you're doing it again knowingly. So once again, man, this is the last warning. Next time will be a block. Oh, last question. Who'd you take in your brackets? I was waiting for somebody to ask me this. Now, I'm going to hope that my coworkers aren't stalking this and waiting for my picks and then going to change theirs real quickly. I did several brackets. I like UConn. Tough to not like UConn. And I got a sleeper pick. I'll tell you about that after the games start. But in my main bracket, where I picked more favorites than upsets, I took UConn to win.
All right. Looks like I got some movers doing pretty well.
I got UNC going deep, Jane. Don't worry.
Remember I told you about FMC?
Yes. How's that doing?
Oh, that's doing pretty good. This is a longer hold. I have this in my long-term account too. I think eventually this goes back to 100 over time.
I'll tell you what. Let's move above and close above that 200 day at $71, and I think your move to 100 can really materialize. Jay, so did you guys see the game last night, the Montana State Grambling State game? One of the first 4 games. I was sitting there watching that game. I was like, if this is a preview of what we are about to get tomorrow, we are in luck. This is going to be awesome. Richard, you take care of yourself. Thanks for all your support, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
All right. It looks like Caval's still trying to stay alive. Didn't make those new intraday highs yet, but it's still trying. Just had a lot of sell orders in its way.
Our VKTX swings still doing well. That pullback, nothing to fear, at least not yet. Would love to see it get above this spot right in here. I've got that at 72.86. Let's just call it 73. Move above 73 would be juicy. No, Jake, people just have different opinions than you. That's all. Not a big deal.
I don't think I was making any excuses.
For UNC. Good luck, all. Indeed. You got it, Jane. We appreciate you. Sally, we do happy hour Monday through Thursday. Remember, you do have to be a Benzinga Pro subscriber to have access to that, but it is an hour-long show Monday through Thursday right at market close. GOEV popping out of that consolidation area, going higher here. Crow saying VKTX to 100 is a sure thing. Look, I've been around this business long enough to not call anything sure things anymore. I've been made to look like a moron more times than I can count. So I'm going to stay away from the sure thing. Now, your comment here on the Maple Leafs, I don't really want to touch that. I don't root for Toronto. I understand the plight of Toronto fans. And I'll tell you what, I watched Austin Matthews last night. That kid is unbelievable. I'm not going to touch that comment. I don't want any bad juju for talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, my man. Oh, my goodness.
Up below the day. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, we're under 174. That's great.
Sally, I am a pro subscriber. How do I show? Okay, let me show you. Before we turn this over to Zunaid and Aaron, I will actually show you this live. Okay, really quickly. So first of all, the banner itself pops up on the info bar at the bottom of the platform. So actually, let me go full screen. Oh, I'm going to have to take your comment off so that you can see it. I actually have my info bar hidden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to turn the info bar on. Now, this bar down here this bar down here. When the post is made for happy hour, you will get a clickable link in this post that you can sign up for. Once you sign up, you will be emailed from Zoom a reminder every time that the show is going to start. If you're really having trouble, Sally, you can go ahead and email me at my work email here, and I will just directly send you the link. One of the other things to keep in mind is that if you open up the chat, we have a chat room dedicated to happy hour. So if you select the happy hour chat room, occasionally I will post the link in here as well. All right. Let's go back here. We are expecting Zunaid pretty soon. When we do, we will get him on here. Z-Man.
What's up?
Hey,
What's up? I'm in a different spot because I don't have power for 36 hours. So I'm at a friend's place, and it's a funky setup. I've got roses to my left, but you know what? It's going to be actually AB that's going to run all access. So,
I'm sorry.
Aaron, no, it's not on you. It's on me. It's because power. That's on me. But Aaron, if you're ready, pal, we can get you up. And then Ryan, 13, appreciate y'all today.
13,
Absolutely.
We will see you tomorrow. Zunaid, good luck. Have fun, everybody. Enjoy the basketball.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Aaron, you ready? It's all you, my friend. I'm out.
How you doing, Zunaid?
Good, pal. We'll talk here in a minute.
All righty. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's All Access. This is your one-stop shop on YouTube where you get to learn about publicly traded companies directly from the executives that run those companies. Venture to say it's the only place on YouTube you'll be able to get access like this for free. That is why it's called All Access. Today, we're going to be talking to Michael Zacharski, the CEO of Brand Engagement Network, ticker BNAI, trading on the NASDAQ. Without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome Michael on the stream. All right, Michael, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us here on Benzinga's All Access.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, let's hop straight into it. Why don't we start by you just giving us a brief overview of Brand Engagement Network?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a pure play AI company. We play in the conversational AI space, so voice and multimodal. We're focused on the healthcare as well as the automotive industry. And we build helpful, friendly AI assistants, and we play in the generative AI space. So for customers, we focus on building solutions that not only work on and help with customer experience, CX, but also make sure that we're connecting it to productivity, making the company and the workforce more useful and spend more time where they need to. And obviously making sure that we're aligning to performance metrics for our customers as well. So by using AI as a front-end system, there's a lot of benefits to our customers as well as their customers because they're getting much better customer service on their time, talking to friendly, helpful assistants.
Got it. Well, you say your AI brings a deeper level of comprehension, empathy, and understanding the human-machine interaction. How so, and what does this actually look like, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. So first part of it is, I think everyone's used to talking to machines. I think you've been on the phone, press 1 to get to the operator. Usually it's a very grating experience. Technologies today have not done a great job of understanding what someone is saying. So one of our differentiators is we have some of the top experts for natural language processing on the team. One of our co-CTOs actually was named a fellow to the International Speech Association last year. And so we're really good at having the machine understand what someone is saying. But not just what the words mean. Is there an emotional cue from those words that we should be paying attention to and either acknowledging in our response back through what we say back through our avatar, or even the way our avatar gestures interacts with the human being. The idea is to create an interface that is tied to and understands what you want to choose, what you want to do. They can talk to it naturally, and it understands what you're really saying and giving you useful information back. You can see it in the video right here. This is actually an example of one of our full-size kiosks.
Have a great day.
For the automotive sector.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the areas I'm really excited to for AI. I mean, a lot of times, when you get these automated answering machines and stuff now, it's not great, but over time, to have those, it could be even better than talking to a human sometimes. Tell us about the back end, your tech, Michael. What about it enables you to make your AI interactions more human?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different parts to it. So first of all, there's the interface. I think we just got a glimpse of what that looks like. On the back end, there's a lot of technology. So we have the interface. Behind that, we have a dialogue manager, which really is a tool and a system that is able to guide the user through a specific conversation. We use a small footprint LLM. So we do contain everything on our own servers. We're not using a third-party internet connection to ping a third-party system. Everything is within our stack, so we're a full stack solution. So we manage the dialogue. We use an LLM to manage the conversation, but then we use a mix of technologies to get good, accurate answers. And the other thing that we do is for each of our customers, we have a platform that allows us to train each of these stacks on information that the customer provides us. So each independent stack is designed for a business. That business has their own full stack AI assistant, and that assistant's only trained on the data that they provide. So we know exactly what it's trained on, where the data came from, and we can assure our customer that the information that the end user is going to receive is only coming from that information. And so that makes it a lot safer. It also makes it very predictable. And we only allow, utilizing a dialogue manager, only allow the expected answers to go back. So you're not going to get a wacky or unexpected answer, and you know where the information is coming from. And if there is no answer, we don't answer. We say, we're here to talk about this topic. We'd love to help you with that, but we're here to talk about this. To avoid hallucinations, we don't force an answer. Talked a little bit about the mixed technologies on the back end. And again, we stand these up as a full-scale solution for each of our clients. It's their AI system. Their data is not going to feed their competitor. Their data is not going to go leak somewhere and be used in a different way. Self-contained, full stack for each customer. And on the left here, we have typically what people think about when they think about AI. The big LLM companies did a great job of making AI the topic of conversation at the boardroom as well as the dinner table. But they also painted a picture that you kind of use the LLM to do everything. And you can, but LLMs, although are great, if you really boil it down to, they are probabilistic guessing machines. And they're really good at it. Nothing wrong with it. In fact, we use them. But to really have a business-safe, customer-ready solution, you really need a mix of technologies, each of them doing and designed to do what they're designed to do and maximize what they do. So a lot on the tech. There's also modules that we have. So going back to like the emotional concept, we have an emotional synthesis module. We extract from the words, what is the state of the person, and then we incorporate that back into our response through our dialogue manager.
Got it. Where do you get the data your models are trained on, and how do you source it ethically and ensure the security of it? Are there regulatory standards that you adhere to? I mean, I know it's such a new growing industry that a lot of times regulations aren't coming in, until later.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent a lot of my career in the programmatic advertising industry. So high throughput, low latency computer networks. And in a lot of ways, AI systems follow a similar networking design and have similar considerations. And that goes all the way to understanding how to manage customer data. One of the reasons why we decided to provide full stacks that are independent of each other and for each customer is to make sure that we know where the data is going, and we can assure our customers that their data isn't going to go a place where it's not supposed to go. So by not cross-pollinating the assistants, we're able to contain the consumer data. And we really look at where we've seen consumer data privacy laws going in general, and specifically what we've been able to learn from programmatic advertising. From a consumer data management standpoint, we've incorporated that into how we think about managing customer data, consumer data, compliance with both current data privacy laws, as well as what we've heard and what we're hearing around governance around AI. So we've really taken a hard look and made sure that we're built for the future, and our system is designed in a way to be compatible with regulation and really taking a proactive approach on managing customer data and consumer data safely from the get-go.
How do you deploy your products, and what does it look like for your partners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go back to your part of your other question. So first, we focus on healthcare and automotive. Within healthcare and automotive, we think about each AI assistant as a job, right? And so jobs are kind of similar from one, hospital to the next hospital, from one auto dealership to the next dealership. Not the same, but similar. And so we build AI assistants that are effectively workers, and each worker is programmed to do that specific job. We then meet with our customer, and we have a platform that allows us to quickly train it on their data. And so basically, healthcare adherence assistant, which is really a way of saying some AI assistant that will help you learn more about your medication that you were just prescribed at the pharmacy. We just announced a partnership with a company called MedAdvisor. They partner with many pharmacies across the US. And basically, the adherence assistant is trained on data that comes from the manufacturer of the drug and data that comes from known sources. So we know the quality of the data, where it's coming from, and that's all that it's trained on. And so our assistant is trained on data that's provided to us by the customer. It's deployed for that customer. It's their own full stack. And so that's the first step. We then manage the dialogue, work with the customers, they can test it, make sure they're comfortable with it. And again, we have a platform on the back end that automates all of this and makes it super easy to deploy. And then we decide what format does it want to be deployed. Do you want to get a text message and then you get a web link and then you talk to one of our assistants on the web? Should it be inside of an app? A lot of companies, spend a lot of time and money designing apps. They want to use their app. We want to embed our solution inside of their app. And finally, we have the full-size kiosks in the real world, at the dealership, at the doctor's office, in the real world, allowing you to talk to the AI assistant and have a conversation about whatever it is you're looking to get more information about, or find out what the next step is, and have that conversation in the real world as well.
That's incredible. I mean, the future is here, and we're seeing more and more of these, different iterations of AI technology in different areas like you're talking about. What, if anything, is the public missing about AI right now?
Well, I think right now there's a limited number of tools that people can use to experience AI, right? So you have kind of some of the big LLMs, you could talk, you could type to them. You have some chatbots on the internet. They're helpful. There's also a lot of news about, what's good and what's bad. But people haven't really seen or experienced AI that you can talk to, or experience these things in the real world outside of kind of on your desktop computer. And so I think the big opportunity here is, how do you take, what we've got a taste of over the last year or so? How do you take that and now bring it to life across healthcare, across automotive? How do you bring that to the real world and allow people to really get real benefit and value from utilizing these tools? I think we're in really early innings here. And I think we as a society are learning how to incorporate these tools into our daily lives. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity in terms of thinking about where these assistants can be useful in the real world, in real places, at retail locations, as well as on your mobile device and on your computer, and talk to it as opposed to have to type to it.
Yeah, well, you kind of mentioned it there that we're in the early innings, but my next question, our last question today, Michael, I'm going to ask you for a hot take. Where are we in the AI hype cycle? How much room is there to grow? Because I know a lot of our investors out there in the chat, they've seen NVIDIA stock, SMCI, you name it, all these different AI plays absolutely running. They might think, okay, we're toward the end of the cycle. Is there still room to grow? Where are we at in this hype cycle?
I think we're just getting started. I mean, if you think about the fact that most businesses today are talking about AI, most people today are talking about AI and trying to figure out how to use it, where to deploy it. Because we're still trying to figure out how to maximize the value of these technologies, that to me says we're still really, really early stage. That being said, there are a lot of great tools and a lot of experiments being done. We're here ready to bring these technologies at scale to businesses so consumers can use them, benefit from the technology. But again, really early innings.
Beautiful. Well, Michael, again, thank you for joining us on today's All Access. Again, we've been talking to Michael Zacharski, the CEO of Brand Engagement Network, ticker BNAI, trading on the NASDAQ. Michael, I know you're a busy guy. I'll let you get back to it. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Much appreciated, Aaron. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and bring my man Zunaid back on the stream. Zunaid, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I love AI talk. It's always interesting to see how the world has advanced in that aspect. And I completely agree. I think we are in the early innings. I'm a little pissed off I didn't get in a couple of stocks in the warm-up stage of the early innings. Maybe a batting practice so I could be wealthy. But it's all good. It's all good. I'll find my dips and to get into the action.
Yeah, lots of sports analogies. We do have, spring training, baseball about to start up, and then you got March Madness starting today. So, it should be an exciting couple of days. Well, all right, Zunaid, I'll hand it over to you. I'll be back on the stream in about an hour for another interview. Till then, you guys are in, I'd say good hands, but you're in decent hands. Okay, with Zunaid.
I'll take it. You know what? I'm at a friend's place because my power's out. We've got roses. We're doing good. We're doing good. All right, chat. Typically, we get you executives from publicly traded companies like the awesome interview you just saw to talk about all things AI. Now we're going to get you an idea and some perspective of someone who is invested in a couple of companies. Coming up with me right now is going to be Chris Ballard, who is the managing director at Check Capital Management. So let's go ahead and bring on my man, Chris, so we can talk some stocks in terms of CarMax and FedEx, both companies reporting here soon. You've got FedEx that's reporting, I believe, later on today, and you've got CarMax, and I think reports on April 11th. But Chris, pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I would be excited to talk about some March Madness tip-offs in about an hour too, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll make this very quick. And you know what? You got me. I lied about my power. It's actually because I want to watch March Madness. No, it's really not. But let's get right to it, man. When it comes to FedEx, the number one that I think of personally is reliability, because very few times is it where I don't get my FedEx packages. But what are you kind of expecting in terms of earnings from them, right? I think consensus is about 3.49 cents per share. You're looking at also revenue about 22 billion. What are you hoping to get out of this earnings?
So, hey, we're long-term shareholders. We're always looking at the long term. We've owned FedEx basically since 2015 and added to it over time here. They're going through a process now of consolidating companies, and they started this a little over a year ago. It's a real heavy lift for them, and it's been an exciting turnaround that we've been keeping a close eye on. They're basically looking to cut costs permanently, about $1.8 billion of costs, and then also make other adjustments along the way with costs at the corporate level. As well as make some adjustments where they kind of had overexpanded right before the pandemic. And so they're kind of pulling back on that. And quarter over quarter, over the last 4 quarters in a row, they've shown that they have indeed been executing on this plan very well. We're excited to see what we have been seeing. So basically the margins have been growing fairly significantly. And we expect to see more of the same on this call. We're excited to see what Raj has to say about it today. But we think basically the needle's moving in the right direction. And if they're able to execute on this plan, it's actually going to be very accretive to shareholders, and they're very undervalued at this point. And if they kind of don't completely execute on it the way that they should over a period of time, they're still at a very good valuation at this point. So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Are you taking a little bit step further away from the earnings call? Are you at all concerned with Amazon not just taking away the dollars that they give FedEx in terms of, being a customer and having FedEx as a vendor, but also Amazon saying, you know what, hold on a second. We already have a great logistics system. We're going to compete as a FedEx or a UPS. Are you concerned about that at all?
We have to keep an eye on it. We're really not concerned about it. They're fundamentally and materially, structurally different types of businesses. FedEx delivers to 200 countries around the world. And they're going to deliver to, for businesses, like if you're going to buy something at Walmart or Target or Dick's Sporting Goods, you're not going to go to Amazon for this. You're going to go to FedEx. So they're in different arenas. They basically were working together up until maybe a handful of years ago, and it was FedEx's decision to break up with Amazon. They wasn't, the profit margins weren't there for them. Amazon had some demands. So Amazon's packages, they're basically delivering as much as a little more than FedEx at this point in time, but they're basically doing it to their own consumer base. And as Amazon, of course, grows and delivers to their consumer base, it's going to be good for them. But FedEx has, structurally, again, different business across the board. It's a duopoly, really, with UPS, where they're doing completely different things. So, we're not concerned, but of course, we're very aware of Amazon's growth And we want to be aware of how that could affect things in the long term. But Amazon's not delivering to 200 countries around the world, so it's quite a bit different.
And, I'm going to need you to make a phone call to Raj, because I'm always curious about how in the world is it that a package that I just dropped off in Atlanta, Georgia at 3 p.m. has now ended up in Seattle by 7 a.m. the next morning. Like, let me just kind of be a package in a very safe way so I can breathe. It's just fascinating to me. So on that extent, last question on this, and we'll move on to CarMax.
Sure.
Are you worried about global tension, not in terms of like trades and, the business economic aspects of it having an impact on FedEx in terms of its growth?
Sure. I mean, it's been an effect over the past couple of years, as a matter of fact. So it's always something that we need to be aware of and thinking about. They're delivering something to the tune of 16.5 million packages a day on average a couple of years ago, and now it's more like 14.5. Call it 15 million packages a day. We'll see where it comes out today. So it has declined, and that is because of some, you can call it global tensions, but it also had to do with the pandemic and just the economy being rather tepid worldwide. So we need to keep an eye on all of this, but people are always going to need their packages. You're going to have an idea about what you want, and FedEx is going to be the go-to for that. So people aren't going to stop basically getting packages and importing and exporting them. But it does have an effect, and it has had an effect. We're actually we're swinging back at this point in time anyway.
All right. Love that. Let's go ahead and talk about CarMax now. I believe, like I said, they go ahead and report on April 11th. They do the consensus there. You're looking about 45 cents per share. You also got the revenue of approximately $6 billion is what's expected. Now, CarMax, I always love talking to companies where I use them, or people that are invested in the companies where I use their products. When I first thought of CarMax, right, when they obviously years ago, when they started up and the marketing, I was always like, man, who in their right mind would pay an additional $1,000 or whatever the margin might be an increase compared to going to a dealership and haggling? Lo and behold, pie on my face, because 4 months ago, I purchased a car from CarMax because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with the back and forth of negotiating. I knew what I liked. I knew what I could go and afford on a monthly payment, and I got myself a car. So how valuable is it to kind of have that experience? But more so, you've also got a competitor in Carvana that, has been doing well, at least stock price. Business-wise is a question. So to wrap all that information up, are you worried about competition from Carvana taking market share from CarMax or any other competitors that may come up?
We're always paying attention to all of this. The word worry is, when you're looking to get into a business like this, you want to kind of check all the boxes. We have a checklist we have when we're getting into any individual business. CarMax, like you mentioned, they're basically a differentiated offer in a highly fragmented market, and they really have a superior process that's out there. They are the ones that change the market for used car sales, right? There's like 40 million cars sold, used cars sold a year. They're selling about 2 million of those. If you were to break it down, they're about 4% of the market share right now. They're looking to grow back to 5% of the market share relatively quickly. With a highly fragmented market, you can take market share from the smaller mom and pop and regional used car dealers. And if you have the superior process, which what you just described, I personally actually bought my truck from CarMax as well a couple of years ago.
Did you flex on them? Did you flex on them and say, "Hey, listen, I'm an investor. I need a discount"? Be honest.
I wish.
Be honest.
I keep my mouth shut on that one, but maybe I should have. Yeah.
You gotta make a phone call.
I know. But so, when it comes to CarMax, they definitely have a great process in general. They're selling, I think they're about a little less than 1% of the market share. And they just went through a scary time themselves, actually, but they've made their way all the way back. The used car industry relatively recently has gone through a depression. The numbers were somewhat similar to where they were in 2008, 2009, and to some degree, even worse in instances. And so at this point in time, there's really a tailwind coming back, and we're hoping they're going to grow back to where they were and above and beyond where their normalized earnings were even just a few years ago. But so, we always keep an eye on the competition, if that's basically part of the question. But they're looking to open 5 stores this year. They used to have a demand where they would try to open as sort of many stores as they could. They're looking to double their footprint maybe 10 years ago. They've done most of that. But now that consumers are buying online, of course, they don't have to open as many stores to sell the vehicles that they're going to sell, and the profit margins are a little higher. They actually did about 15% of all their sales last year were completely online, and 55% of them were done partially online. Like you would go and get approved for your loan, and then you want to go get it done in person. So, Carvana doesn't really offer the in-person at all. So CarMax has a little bit of both at this point in time, but they are head and shoulders above Carvana at this point in time. We got to keep an eye on that, but there's definitely room to run. I mean, we're talking 1% market share for Carvana, 5% market share-ish for CarMax. They both have a long way to run in an industry that people are looking for what you're looking for. They want to get away from this haggled pricing, and they're doing a really good job at doing that.
And, from a consumer standpoint, it was a bit annoying about what I'm about to talk about, but from a business standpoint, it's great. But also consumer, it's kind of great. What I'm saying is when I bought a Kia, right? I bought a Kia and I wanted a specific color with a specific interior and a specific speaker system because I like to be bougie with some things. But if Atlanta didn't have it, North Carolina may have had it, which is great. I would just have to pay $200 to get it here. If I didn't like the car, guess what? I don't get the $200 bucks back. From a business standpoint, that's amazing. From a consumer standpoint, it's still great to be able to bring in vehicles from around the nation to go ahead and make sure, hey, is this good? Is this something I want? Because one thing with Carvana, I was like, hey, can I get a test drive? They're like, no, it's like a vending machine. You don't get a test drive. You can return it in 3 days. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a lot of money for me to worry about going back and forth. So I get that.
Yeah, CarMax has a 30-day guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a long time to sit on that vehicle, drive it around, and bring it back if you want to.
Yeah. Let's talk about what innovation we can expect. And I'll ask you a general question after that. We're at 5% with CarMax. What would you like to see if you could just talk to the executives and say, hey, I want A, B, and C, one or two things from the innovation side for CarMax to go from 5% to 7%. What would you want to see?
We think that they're doing a great job as it is. As far as innovation goes, we think they should just continue to do what they've been doing. We're value investors, and so we like consistency. We like to have a good understanding for what's going on. We don't think they need to do much more in the way of innovation, but we think they should lean into the online sales a little bit more as time goes on. And as the consumer ends up becoming more comfortable with that as time goes on, as they are right now, that's going to happen sort of naturally. So they just need to keep doing what they do best. And eventually we're going to get to that 6 and 7%. As far as brand new innovations, I wouldn't speak to that too much at this point in time. We think they're in a great position and they're executing very well, and they should just continue to do so. And the sort of the wins at their back right now.
And it definitely looks like the warranty aspect of it we haven't talked about. That's another way where you kind of get built into the margins of folks that purchase a warranty. I think it's a great package. But of course, there's reason they sell warranties is because it's a profitable, high margin aspect of it as well. So that's another business. Let's kind of zoom out. We've talked about
they also have a service model as well, and then they also do lending also. So the lending aspect of things, the margins have been squeezed as of late. That has a lot to do with interest rates. So now is like the Fed's.
Are you worried about that in terms of like, hey, it could get worse, or do you think like, hey, the worst is already built in, it only gets better if anything?
It feels like the worst is built in. We don't know when that'll come to an end, but the Feds just yesterday commented on, cutting rates likely 3 times this year. So that's going to help them as far as their margins go on that front. They also have loan loss provisions where over the last couple of years, they've raised them, preparing for people to default on their loans. We think that's probably the worst of it's kind of behind them on that, but they do a very good job at setting aside what they expect to have in losses on that front. So it does feel like the bottom-ish is kind of set in a little bit on the lending side of things for them.
Awesome. Appreciate you so much for hopping on, man. Really appreciate your insights. And I look forward to more of these conversations as we get back into earnings seasons here in about a month or so.
That sounds good, Z. Really thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Talk soon. That was Chris Ballard, who is the managing director at Check Capital Management. And, it's always cool. I don't really get to talk to folks that put money where their mouth is from a non-affiliated with the company. Like I get a chance to speak with executives, which is really cool, but to kind of speak with folks that are invested into those stocks is something that I really am enjoying. And we'll do a lot more of these when it comes to earnings season, because it's always great to get a different perspective on what is it that you're looking for, instead of just, hey, everything's nice and pretty, kind of get some harsh realities in there. But now it's time for us to go ahead and talk futures. Of course, we've got things rocking and rolling with our Apex show. I told you I would have 5 funded accounts. I do have 5 funded accounts now. Are all of them in the green? They're not. But that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But Futures Fever starts right now.
Welcome to Futures Fever, where we dive deep into the world of futures trading and uncover opportunities no matter the market conditions, because volatility is simply an opportunity to find profitable trades. So don't sit back and relax, but sit up and engage as Futures Fever, powered by Apex Trader Funding, starts right now.
All right. I was trying to share my charts. I don't know why. Come on. Where are my charts? There are my charts. And can you tell that I am excited for the Reddit IPO? I know it's a Futures Fever show, and I promise we'll get into futures, but I'm still excited for the Reddit IPO. Here's what we're going to do. We have Anya, who we enjoyed having last time. She's going to join us here in just a few minutes. I'm actually going to go ahead and recap a few things of my end. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Then I can log into my All right, cool. Now you guys see my username, but you won't get to see my password. All right. I know you wanna get into my account, but you're not gonna get to see my password. All right. Look at that. And now I got to go back in and fix things. Okay, that's always great. But let me go ahead and talk about where I am, and I can go ahead and bring Anya on here in a minute. I got 5 funded accounts. I'll go ahead and show them to you. I am up on one of them, I think about $1,000 or so. Now I was up about $2,000 or so. But unfortunately, I took some trades. They weren't profitable, and now they're coming. It's coming to the downside a little bit. I do have the 4 other funded trade or accounts rather, and they're not doing so hot either. But from a mental perspective, I'm kind of okay with it, because one of the reasons I liked going with the funded prop firm idea, or that aspect of it, was because the money that I've invested in this is paying, I think I paid about $30 for the $50,000 eval, right? Once I passed that, I paid about $165 to get the account be funded, if you will. So my investment in this is about $200 to get $2,500 worth of drawdown, is how I like to look at it. That's a pretty sweet deal to me. So from that aspect, mentally, I can still place trades and just literally, we did the webinar yesterday. I placed my trades, stop losses, profit targets, and I just let it be. Here's where I messed up, and it's no one's fault but mine. I forgot while we were doing the webinar that we had the healthcare, or that we had the Fed chair, the Fed minutes were coming on. So unfortunately, I was short, and we had a beautiful spike up, as you can see right at 2 o'clock. So I got stopped out. So that kind of sucked. No one's fault but mine. Let me go ahead and bring on Anya. Anya, just go ahead and give me a thumbs up so now I know you're ready to rock and roll. Let me see the thumbs up. Perfect. Here we go. How's it going? Good morning.
Oh, hello. Good. How are you?
I am doing well. I always love the poster that you have in the back. I really enjoy that.
I was listening to you and you said you got 5 accounts, and actually yesterday I funded another 3 accounts, so I'm on 5 in total right now.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Are they $50,000 accounts, or what are you working with now?
So no, they're like 250Ks, which was
Okay.
first, like I funded first, and that 3 is 50Ks. And I still have a few evolutions running like for 150K.
Okay, very
It
cool.
just
So
took a longer time, and I finally, like, I think 50K is more reasonable.
Yeah.
But I started like from 150K because we always like scared of this drawdown. We're not sure. We want to have more drawdown, but then the target goal is like, with my conservative trading, is pretty like taking pretty slow. So, and then I just realized that I actually never go like that deep, like on a drawdown with my system. So because I just trade futures literally like from November last year. So, and now I'm going with 50K, and it's getting like easier, I guess.
Yeah, I tried many times, and this is maybe a tip for the folks watching at home. By the way, make sure you get your evals. It's actually 81% off. Let me actually see if we have that brand.
Yeah, it's 80% right now.
It's 80% off instead of, so you get a little bit of a better deal. Let me see if we have that. We don't. Aaron, if you're listening, I think Enver made that 80% off. I don't think I uploaded it. If you can find it, that'd be great. If not, no worries. Either way, though, make sure you use that promo code of futures, or excuse me, of Fever, and we'll take care of it. But what I was telling the folks at home is that I tried to pass a 300,000 eval account many, many times. However, it was tougher, right? Because I think you have to get 20,000 to hit the target with a drawdown of 7,500. Where the 50,000 is popular because you have a target of 3,000 and $2,500 as a drawdown. So it's a little easier in terms of almost a 1-to-1 ratio versus like a 2-to-1
like,
or a little bit more.
buy like 100 as I said, like yesterday, I actually talked to my friend. She said, like, what is better to buy? And I said, like just calculate mathematically. Like if you buy 150 account, you have 5,000 drawdown and 9,000 trading goal. So, and if you, for example, you want to risk $300 per trade, you have only like 15, 16 trades for that.
Yeah.
But if you buy like 3 instead 50K, so you have drawdown 2,500 of each, which is 7,500, but your target goal is still 9,000. You can spread this 300 to all 3 of them, and basically you have 25 trades with the same kind of trades. You just like taking the same trade, just copying them on 3 account, but you have 25 trades, you have 7,500 drawdown, and your goal is still 9,000. So which is more reasonable, right?
See, this is why we love having you on the show. You provide good insights. The Crow agrees with it as well. So congrats on the funded accounts that you just additionally acquired. But let's go ahead and talk about any trades that you've taken recently. And if you want, again, you can share your charts, or you can kind of let me know what you kind of looked at, and I can bring it up on my end. What are some trades that you've taken recently?
The thing is, like, I did. Yes, I didn't actually trade it yesterday and today because the reason is FOMC, and I'm strongly trying to avoid these days. Yes, I know
I love
you can
that.
just make a bank out of it, but with my system, which is super conservative, I'm trying to
Yeah.
be like catch this like smaller like move, but technical.
How do you stay
So,
disciplined? Because how do you stay
so
disciplined? Because yesterday I struggled with that, right? I wanted to trade FOMC and I lost money on my funded account. How are you able to mentally stay disciplined to there where you don't trade?
So because it always comes from the point like I know or I don't know where it's gonna go. Of course, I never know where it's gonna go, but at least I can guess. I can do a lot of technical analysis. I can draw a lot of levels. I can like at least like manage my risk based on my levels. And when it's of FOMC, the thing is I don't know what's gonna happen. And when I don't know what's gonna happen, I'm confused. Like I don't know where it's gonna go because technicals like showing me like okay, we're still kind of a little bit bearish for the past like week, but we know like they're always gonna play us game. And like let's say Nvidia looks super bullish like for the past, and she's driving Nasdaq lately, so we know that. So and I was like, I don't know. And when I don't know, I always actually more scared to take a huge loss or like slippage or anything than then I'm like, I'll rather wait. And I actually funded account on the London session the day before, like basically yesterday night. And uh, I can share their chart and show you where I literally took a trade. So
Yeah,
which
feel free
was
to.
pretty like
If you hit the present button and then the share screen, you can go ahead and try to do that. Because we'd
I'm
love to
trying
kind of
to
get some
find where
insights
to
from you
do
on
it.
the so if you look on the bottom
Present
of, yep, and then hit
share
share screen, and then you'll see like a select Chrome, window, whatever. I would probably suggest Chrome just so it's easier, like a tab. That way you're only sharing what you want to.
No, I see entire screen. Okay, let me. I don't know
But yeah,
which one to
while
share.
you let's see
No,
here.
screen one probably.
Yeah, you'll have like a. Let
I
me
have
go
so
ahead.
many
So here,
screens.
no, you're fine. You go ahead and find that tab. There you go. I see yours up. You want me to share it?
Yes. Thank you. I have this one. Okay, let me just open it up. Yeah, I'm on the right one. So basically, why I'm not like kind of like confused right now, because we still sit in this range at all-time high, basically between here and between here. So we made all this move basically from level to level, from the low to the high. So now like it's bullish. So it's hard to go short after day like yesterday. The same time, it's kind of sitting in a resistance. So that's why I'm just like sitting on my butt right now. So, but yesterday, like if we talk about my trade, so I have all this like areas that I'm interested to trade. So, and I'm just waiting until it's come to either of this area, or if it's breaking out, like I'm gonna use Fibonacci from the previous lag, like to see like my Fibonacci levels, because there is no like levels above, and depends how deep we're gonna, like if we're gonna deep somehow earlier. So I'm also gonna use Fibonacci from the past, like a small lag. So basically now I'm looking like if we break down, how it's gonna react like in this area. If it's break lower, so how low it's gonna go, and if it's like sell off hard, so of course I'm gonna interested on this Fibonacci level, on this area, and areas lower. So my trade was the last trade I actually took was yesterday night, basically in London session right here. So it's pretty nice, like already I use Fibonacci a lot, and this golden pocket between 61% and 70%. So I was literally waiting all day what it's gonna do, because by then, before we were here, we were like out all the time, like on the bearish side. But as we start breaking up here, so I was waiting the reaction of this area, and I literally traded it like every rejection at this level. And
So you've got the fibs that is right. What percentage do you typically like looking at? Are you looking at like the 618? I can see that's there. I know you talked about the golden pocket.
618 between 618 and 70, which is I don't know. I didn't call it like this. Is like you can Google it or whatever. Like they call like golden pocket. Between 61 and 70%. This kind of golden that there has a very good like when it comes to Fibonacci has very good response that my statistics showed as well. And now either it's in a lower time frame or in a higher time frame. There was a higher time frame. When it's higher time frame, it's take a little bit longer time to show the rejection, but usually it does. But even if it's in the lower time frame, let's look today. I missed this trade because like I told myself, okay, I don't know what it's gonna do. Like look bullish, like and but I still like think like after a move like this, I will think, oh, it needs a pullback, like like it's hard to take. But if you look like, for example, even in the lower time frame in 2-minute chart, so when we take from a low to high, so look where it's first like has a support, like I supported the price, like it has a candle pattern, it has everything. So basically after we sell off right to the golden pocket, low to high, we draw our Fibonacci, and that's a golden pocket. So, and you see we have a nice enough move to do enough, like we don't even need like on futures, like trading, like literally with this ATR is coming lately, I don't use NQ. Maybe sometimes when it's a night session, when it's a London session, I can use NQ trade, but even with them NQ, so we kind of made like 30 to 80, like it's 50 points, like what else we need, right?
50 points, especially if you're trading the NQ, that's about $20 per point. If you're trading the MNQ, you're looking at about $2 per point. So I mean, per point, and then which comes out to a lot of money.
Q and Q, like I usually use like my regular stop like about like 30 points. So basically if like I get 30 points, I'm gonna get like $120 right here, like, or like it's gonna be the stop loss probably below here. So how much we have a risk? We have a risk about like 35 to 20, about 15 points. And we like basically made 50 points. Like maybe you not catch all the move, but maybe you catch like 1 to 2, like 15 points to 30 points, which is enough. Like I mean, I love this tool a lot, like, and I use it intraday. And look, like if we like we rejected this previous all-time high, and we basically kind of breaking this trend. And if we like from the other side, from the short, if we're rejecting this level, we can use from other side. This was our high low, and this is our low. So where we rejected again, look at it.
Yeah, I see that there now. So help me understand. You've got your accounts. How many MNQ contracts are you typically trading? Or is it, what
Yes, I always check the pre-market and the first like few candles ATR, like how much is them. so to understand the volatility. But for now, I'm trying to take like from 1, 2, 3, 4 contract, depends on volatility, usually about 2, because I highly rejected my risk lately, because
Yeah.
my idea is not like be successful and increase the risk, because I always have trouble with increasing the risk, like, and thinking about drawdown, and what if I have like 2 3 trades in a row red, which is probability wise is pretty possible, it's normal. But if I have like
Absolutely.
a couple trades and risk like more, like I don't want to lose 1,000 a day, because it's really affect my thing. But the idea here is to fund more accounts and go without like any pressure, like, risking 100, making 100, 150, 200 a day, but spread this to like 3, 4, 5 accounts, which is giving me the same things, like basically
Yeah.
like 500, 600, 600, 700 a day. And I'm not kind of trying to rush the process. I'm trying to build this amount of accounts, so, and to make trading super easy. Like I'm
Yeah.
calculating is the way, like if I even have like 10 accounts and I do 50, like, or not 50, like let's say $100 a day average on account. So that's about 20K a month.
Yeah. Have you, so your accounts that you have funded, right? And I'm actually in a trade I'll talk about here in a second. But before I let you go here in a few minutes, when you are, your funded accounts, I know some of you have had for a minute, what is, if you're okay sharing, how much you're up, like, on an account itself? So for example, like I said, I have a $50,000 funded account. I'm up about $1,000. What are your
So
insights
I'm
there?
the same. I'm on 150K and I'm up about $1,000. I was up a little more, but lately, like I went a little bit on a drawdown and kind of recovering right now, my highest watermark. And 50K, I just funded yesterday. So 350K like accounts, they're not traded yet. I'm gonna maybe unlock them today. Uh, but we'll see if price shows me. I'm not like a fan of this price action. It's like pretty choppy, but they are zero because I just funded them yesterday. I just edit them up. And
Awesome.
as you
I
see
love
by
it.
my
Yeah.
screenshots, by my screenshots and my Twitter and everything, I'm making like I'm trying to make like 100, 120, 200, 150, and then I'm losing 100, 200, like, so I'm going slow, but I'll always say, like you said, you're up 1,000, and I always say, like, everybody say, oh, you made only like whatever 1, 2% of your account, and I always say, you don't have 50K account, your account is 25K.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's all you
Exactly.
can reach.
That's
That's
such a
all you
great
can
way to look
lose. If you lose it, like you lose the account. It's not like you have 50K. You have like some leverage of buying power, but you don't have 50K account. You have 2,500. And if you made 1,000 in a month, you made 50% an account, which is like tremendously good.
Yeah. Now that makes perfect sense. I'm looking forward to kind of having you back on. So especially when you go ahead and get your payouts from Apex, I'm sure that'll be an awesome feeling for you. So, I told the chat, I'm hoping that by April 15th, I can get a couple of $500 payouts from Apex. And of course, that has more so to do with my trading than it has to
That's
do with
another
Apex
thing,
anyway.
that when you have a 50K account, it's much easier, because to get a payout, you need to go about like 2,600 above their profit goal, and then you can withdraw money. But with 550, 150K account, to even request the withdraw, I need to go about 5,100
Yeah.
in profit, literally.
Yeah. I think the 50K account is the sweet spot for a lot of folks. But I appreciate you. Is there any, let's take a look at it before I let you go. Taking a look at like the daily or the 4 hours or whatever, are there any levels that you're looking at right now? I think you're on the 2 minute, but if we kind of go broaden it out a little bit, right? Go to the 4 hours. Are there any levels that our viewers should kind of keep an eye out for?
Yes, so I definitely keeping an eye on this level. Okay, remove this old Fibonacci. So as I said, like it's pretty, like after this move, like I'm waiting what it's gonna show. So first of all, I'm gonna look for if it's gonna do a reasonable pullback. I'm gonna look for this Fibonacci golden pocket, which is matching a lot with our historical level. We see like a lot of response in this level. So if we have a pullback down, so I'm gonna look at this area a lot. So our 50 gonna come there like on an hourly chart. If we make a small like consolidation here basically and move up, so I'm gonna look the same basically last leg, but I'm gonna look the same move up. So if we talk about like higher time frame, longer hold trades. So basically I'm looking at these areas for now. And definitely we sit in a range. Like you see this huge range right here on the daily chart or whatever. This is hourly chart. So we also might reject here. If it's make like kind of an ABCT pattern from this high, like basically break it down, come retest and show their weakness. So we also can short here with our like very good risk to reward. Like basically we can place a stop above to write it like with a to write together with a pullback, I guess. So
Awesome.
that's what I'm into, but right now it's sitting like you see between this level and this level. So it's the price kind of sitting in the thing that it shows me like either it's gonna break out, either it's gonna break down.
Just got to be a little bit patient to see which way it's going to go. Anya,
Yeah,
thank you
so
so much for hopping
you
on.
see this level and you
Yeah.
see here level. So we sit in between. Either way.
We'll see which way it goes ahead and breaks out. Thank you so much for hopping on today. I appreciate you. We'll be in touch soon and get you on, especially as we get to that payout stage. We'd love to hear more stories about that.
Yeah, I wish you a lot of luck on your funded accounts as well, both for both of us and for all the participants who are with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anya. We'll talk soon. You have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. We will go ahead and get things going. I know we've got my man Mark who's backstage. Looks like he just needs to take care of some camera issues. And once he goes ahead and fixes that, we'll go ahead and get my stuff going here. So here's what I was kind of looking at, right? I told you guys I wanted to take a trade. I actually went short here on the trend line. I was up about $100, but I was looking for $300. So I stopped out here for a little bit. Let me go ahead and actually pull this up. So here's the way it works. Right now, I believe my trailing drawdown is capped at $50,100. So like 5,100 is where it's kind of capped. So if I stay above that, I can still go ahead and play and I can still trade. So, and the reason I say that is because I was up about $53,000. Now I'm up only at 51. So that's, you know, a drawdown of 2,000. However, my drawdown gets capped at that 5,100 mark. I believe I got to double check, but I believe that's where it is. So anyway, here's a trade that I was kind of thinking about taking short, just hoping for a trend line rejection. We didn't visit this area of the 18,600s. That's where I wanted to be. Since we didn't get it, I went ahead and got stopped out. Now, it was interesting. Let me go ahead and kind of get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the levels that Anya talked about, right? The biggest one, as she mentioned, is that one right there. Are we going to be able to reject from here and come on down, or are we just going to continue maybe consolidating flag and then rip and go ahead and touch the 18,800 level? That's the question that we're going to need to figure out the answer to. But if we go ahead and let's see how much it would cost me. See, a part of me kind of wants to go short, but I don't know if this is going to touch back here, because if it comes back up to this level, then I can go ahead and short here and be happy with my life, and I'd be okay with it, right? But I don't want to go. Short too quick, because then I'm just risking more money than I need to. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to go short here, and we'll risk about $250 to make about $250. I think I'm okay with that. Now let's go a little bit higher. There we go. I think I'm good with that aspect of it. All right, cool. If there are any levels that y'all in the chat are kind of keeping an eye on, let me know. I think we're still figuring out Mark and his camera situation once he goes ahead and gets that taken care of. Let's go ahead and take a look at some oil as we have the levels that were broken. Oh, look at this beautiful one. Can I just trade, Aaron? Can I just trade 24/7? Sorry, I'm still dealing with the Slack here. One moment. Where is my... All right, there we go. Da, 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 da. Anyway, Aaron Thomas just asked me. It's a buddy of mine that we've had on as a guest before. I've worked with him in the past. Cool. So here are the levels that we had, right? It was 81.62 that we took a look at. It had resistance. It broke out, held a support, broke down. Then this beautiful trade. Now, look, I'm not up at 4:30 in the morning, right? I've got a full-time job now with Benzinga, so I can't exactly do that. But came down, beautiful test of that level and VWAP, and then just straight down to the next area of support that I had at 80.82, which you can see right there. We pop up, hit VWAP, and then we come right on back down. And now we get to see if this 80.50 area is going to go ahead and hold on as support, or do we just go ahead and break that and continue making our way to the $80 area? Let's go ahead and see what we've got. You've got the support obviously being held up here. Yeah, man, I think the next area, if it does come down, is that $80. But the question is, does it hit 80, 82 before, or do we get to that aspect of it? Let me see. Let's go a little bit broader, though. Let's go even more further out. And here's what we've got, right? So this is the daily. Matter of fact, we need to go even further out than that. Dang, I'm typically not like a... There we go. That works. So here's a daily. You can see the trend line. You have 1, 2, 3. I was really looking forward to going short on the 85 side. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So obviously that's, you know, let me find this area. Is he in the green room? I think he's in the green room. On the 80, 85 areas where I wanted to go short, obviously that did not happen. So we got to go ahead and see how things play out. The beautiful short that's going to happen is once we go ahead and break this trend line to the downside, that's when I would really like to go ahead and have maybe my, not the funded account, but my actual money go short on that side of things. Let me see it. Let's go take a look at some stock side of things as well. Are there any tickers that y'all want me to take a look at? Let me know. NVIDIA, the break of 900, I'd be interested in. SMCI broke 1,000. Now it's looking to get its way right back up. Nah, did it just make new highs? It did just make new highs. That's a great question, Sally. I believe it is up to 100. It's 100% up to the first. Let me see. Apex payout percentages. I want to get the correct answer for you because I believe it's up to 100. It's 100% of your payout up to $25,000 and then 90% afterwards. So that's still pretty solid. You get the first $25,000. After that, you get 90%, which is amazing. I think a lot of other folks may have like an 80-20 just from the get-go, but you get the first $25,000 paid out to you, Sally. And again, if you're going to check them out, make sure you use the promo code Fever. That obviously helps me out. That helps the show out. And that would be awesome. But I agree. It is a pretty sweet deal to go ahead and get that aspect of a payout and not have to kind of split any profits with them at all. So this is what I was worried with, right? I wanted to go short, but I kind of wanted a little bit better of an entry. I might have to go on the MNQ side to kind of get what I want. But we're going to be patient. We're going to be patient here. We're going to see if things work out with us on that aspect of it. We're about 12 points away from getting our short filled. You know, the mental aspect of this is that I just want to get short now, because my thinking is, oh man, what if it doesn't come all the way up to my level to go short? And what if it just goes down from here? What if it just drops 50 points, 30 points from here? I can make money right now. But the terrible thing about that mindset is this. I'm just going to move this here, right? Just for easy. Say if I go short here, you see how that number, it just went from like, what was it, $380 or something like that, right? To where if I go short now, it almost doubles. It almost, I don't want to actually go short. I almost hit yes. It almost doubles. So that's why it's so, so important to just find your entry. Because if you miss your entry, that's fine. And if you get your entry and you stop out, you just save yourself so much money by just waiting patiently for your entry. And that's the toughest part for me personally, from the mental aspect of when it comes to trading, is that I'm just like, oh, I want to go short. What's another $200-300 for my stop loss? Man, those $200-300 add up quite a bit. It really does make a big of an impact. Mark, I can see that. I still don't see your camera, pal. If you need to, we can go ahead and kind of reschedule, but I don't. We are good. Okay, let me. What's up, bud? What's going on? Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, no worries. We'll let our production team go ahead and figure that out. I trust you, pal. No worries. So here's what's going to happen. By the way, show breakdown wise, we've got another 18 minutes with me, and then my man Aaron Bree is going to come back with another interview here later today. Yeah, don't stress about it, AT. We'll figure it out. If it works, it works. If not, we will go ahead and reschedule. It looks like his internet's messed up. So don't worry about it, pal. We'll go ahead and do this another day. All right. Can I go ahead and get filled? Take a look at the ES. See, kind of a similar story. I kind of want to go. All right, I'm going to do something here. We're going to go short on the ES and see if we can get back to VWAP and see if we can get about a couple $100. If I can get a couple $100 on this trade, I'll be happy. And for the folks that are just joining, I want to make sure I'm very transparent. This is not real money, right? So it's not my $250, but it's also not paper money either. It's not a paper account. It's an Apex funded account, which means I took an eval for $50,000. I passed it. Now I haven't funded, in the sense that they gave me a $50,000 funded account. I'm up $1,000 on it. However, I'm obviously looking to make a lot more than that. So I still have a little bit of skin in the game, but just want to be very transparent if you're a first time viewer. Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate you, pal. And then we'll see what type of action we get on this side. Still waiting to get, ooh, look how close we are to getting short. What I'm really afraid of is that I'm going to go ahead and lose money in front of all y'all, but you know what? That's what this is. Why do you think I have a full-time job? You think I'm a multimillionaire? You think I'm just some badass trader? All right, there we go. We have our levels set. We will see if we can now go ahead and break this side of things. Or is that going to be the spot where we reject? What I would love to see is just like a poke and a dip. Just kind of poke and dip. That's all I want. Let's see what's going on with. Ooh, we did break that a little bit. Oh, so what is this? Is this a gap area here on Apple? I think it might be. Why do I have this drawn? Hang on a second. Let's get rid of everything. Yeah, you had this. Oh, this was a while back. That's what it was. I had drawn this because we had a gap to fill from this on the 4th, where they just kind of opened much lower. Then you actually filled the gap and you came down. So that makes sense. But I'm curious now. I don't need to worry about this gap. We'll go ahead and turn that off. I'm curious now if we go ahead and find support at this 172, because wow, what a drop. We just dropped about 6.5 points, which is approximately 3.5% on Apple today, does it go ahead and find support here? I would not be surprised if Apple tried to actually bounce to the 174 to try to test above VWAP, or at the very least, you can see. So here's what's cool if you look left, right? And I understand that this is hindsight, so it's easy for me to go ahead. I'll take a look at RKT here in a second. See how on the left-hand side, just a couple of days ago, in the pre-market, after hours, and during the trading session on Tuesday, you had the 173 level that was holding on to support. Awesome. We go ahead and crack that, right? We crack it. We try to break it. We can't. We try to break it. We can't. We try to break it. We can't. And now you just got yourself a point there. Yes, I understand this is hypothetical, but typically when I'm trading a stock like Apple, I'm giving it $1 for $1. So I'm risking $1 for $1, looking to make $100, and I'm okay losing $100 on that aspect of it. Taking a look at Tesla now. AB had asked if he wanted me to take a couple, so I told him he could take those two. I'm good to take the next one though if you wanted to. I think my internet connection is fine here. If you're good with the quality aspect of it, I'm good with it. The chat's always like, who are you talking to? It's because I get a Slack from my producer and I just respond back live. It's just easier for me to do that than type it out. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's have him do, yeah, can you do me a favor? Can you Slack me the prep doc and the questions just so I can easily take a look at it? That'd be great. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Because I don't have a green screen to do the clips. And Aaron, while you're doing that, or after you're doing that, let me know if we can clip out my interview with Chris. Oh, he's not there. He left. If there are any stocks in the chat that you guys want me to go over, let me know. RKT was one of them. That's definitely moving. Got a bit of a flat consolidation happening there, looking to break the 1440s on the 15. The $12 held as support. The 13 held as resistance or for a while, then it kind of broke through. I'm curious if we come back and test 13 at some point, but otherwise I can see us going to 15 after this 1421 run for it to touch. Pan W. Let's go back to these trades and see what's going on here. How close am I to getting filled? Look at that. Still having trouble getting over that 87. Let's see how my trade here is doing. Up, we're back at break even. Can we come on down? Thank you, my man Aaron. Let me go ahead and pull this up here so I have it ready. Perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, chat. I got to go take a look at something here. I will be right back. You guys can enjoy the charts. I'm in the trade. I will be personally right back. All right, I'm back. We can get the music though. The music was cool. Uh-oh, something just got filled. You're about to watch me lose money live. It's not going to be fun, but it's okay. But here's the thing. Even if I lose money on this trade, I'm not okay with it, but here's why it's fine. Because remember when I said I would much rather get filled here than try to get filled here, and then it moves up on me my stop losses until there. Because now I'm losing $600 instead of just losing $300. So we'll see how this kind of goes ahead and plays out. But now we're breaking above those levels. Are we going to make a new high, or do we come on down and flush? Since I'm in the other trade, do I want to get out of this one? Yeah, I'm going to get out of this one so we can just focus in on this. I don't want to risk more money and have any issues on my end. Losing money live. You know, I think we might have to try that. You know what? Here's what we should do, AT. We should have a show called Losing Money Live, where I go ahead and put up, I don't know, let's call it $2,000. And then we take 20 trades where I risk $100 on a YOLO every single time. And then we just see how long it would take me to get to zero. You know how people do challenges and they're like, oh, getting to from 1,000 to 10,000 and whatever. We should do 1,000 to zero. But like, can Benzinga pay for that show? You know what I'm saying? Like, can I get $2,000 in my account? Is the question. You know, I appreciate that, Sally. I think that's solid. I'm curious how fast I could lose that money. We would just strictly trade 0 DTE. That's all it would be. It would just be that. That's it. All right. MD is saying 18,756. 18. What did you say? Oop, I gotta go ahead and So you're saying this is a level that I should be trading at here. Tell me how you got that. Are you looking at the daily? Are you looking at the 4 hour? Talk to me a little bit. What are you looking at as you make that call? Because to me, we're kind of hitting all-time highs here, right? Like we're trying to break above it. It's a pivot point on the 5 minute. Okay. See, that's one thing I'm not too familiar with, is gauging those pivot points. What I'm really hoping happens here is that we make a lower low. Or excuse me, we make a lower high. My apologies. Doing too many things at once. So we have one here. I'm hoping this ends up being a lower high and that we come in. Oh, chat, the question is, do I get greedy? Do I get greedy? So this right here is going to make me approximately $300, I think. But if I move this all the way down here, it'll make me $700. What do you think, chat? Do I get greedy is the question. I think I might get greedy. Oh no, I think I might get greedy. I'm going to be really bummed, and I'm always kind of scared of this, but again, because it's a funded account, my fear goes a little bit less. I'm really afraid that like this is going to break and we're going to go to the highs here. But we're up about $110. Get greedy. Say less. We're going to get greedy. Is it going to bite me? Probably. There it is. We just got greedy. You ask for it, we go ahead and do it. Aaron, by the way, I still need to send you expenses for my webcam and microphone, which, by the way, came kind of in handy. No, was it a webcam? No, it was lights and mic. That's what it was. Surely. So here's the thing. It is, but it's also, it's the trade-off, right? Like I mentioned, I spent $200 and I had to pass the eval too. So don't just think I just had to pay $200, but I paid $200. I passed the eval to get $2,500 of a drawdown. That to me is a sweet deal. That to me is a sweet deal. But the drawdown also kind of helps me, right? So if I know that, hey, my drawdown is approximately $2,500, I know that I'm going to risk $250 on every trade, which means I have to be wrong 10 trades in a row or just in the duration of it, right, 10 times, that I would end up losing. So I hear you. It definitely is tough. However, it makes it more of it makes me personally have a system for what I am doing, is what I'm saying. Oh yeah, baby, come on, just flush. Let me actually see where the ribbons are. Ribbit. I might actually move this up to about here, the 62s. But at least we're up on this trade. That's always good to see, right? There we go. Come on. Come on down. Nah, you know what? I lied. We'll keep it here. Whatever happens, happens. AT, give me a thumbs down if AB is doing it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if I'm doing the interview, or a thumbs down if Aaron is. Okay, cool. Got it. So he's gonna go ahead and do our clips. You need to work on my Apex. Sean, tell me what account you're looking at. What are you trying to get 50,000? Like what are you rocking with? And also, let me take a look at our show's calendar, because I know we have the interview coming up, but after that, I just want to make sure we have nothing. We don't. Okay, cool. What account size do you have? Oh yeah, baby. Come on. Here we go. Here's where we get to have a little bit of fun. We're just about a minute or two away from our interview. It should be a good one. I mean, there's so much conversation to be had here. Let me see. AT, you just slack me whenever we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up on this side of things. Brian, we see you in the back. We'll bring you up here in just a moment. But chat, just to kind of quickly review my trades. Here's where I'm short, right? We're short on that side of things. We got short here with a stop loss, the high of day, which also then would have been all-time highs. What we're hoping for, aka the hopium that we have, is that this now is going to be a lower high that we just made in for the day, so that it just kind of flushes, and we want it to come back and touch VWAP. Ideally, I'd love for it to go all the way here, right? Where the support currently is at the 18,622, but I don't want to be too greedy. I want to go ahead and take my gains where I can go ahead and get them. Last chance, if you guys have any charts that you want me to go over, let me know. But so far, we're up about $100. Again, not going to close the trade out, so it's not going to be realized gains, and I realize that. Hammer to the downside would be lovely. If we can just finish this candle with a little bit more oomph to the downside, that would be great. All right, perfect. Let me go ahead and get things ready for our interview. One moment here. Awesome. Moving me out here. Let's go ahead and get the branding change. Ooh, look at that. We've got a fresh little cut for this interview too. All right, we're going to go ahead and get things started, as you can see on my screen. Next up, coming for this awesome interview, is going to be Brian Dalton, who is the CEO of Altus Minerals. Ticker on the TSXL is ALS, and ticker on the OTCQX is ATUSF. Let's go ahead and bring Brian onto the show. Looks like, look, producer AT. Come on, we're going to throw him under the bus. That's quite all right. Appreciate your patience there. Brian, looks like we just had a little bit of a hiccup on the backside. Give me one moment while we take care of that aspect of it. But the thing about this company is that the conversations is what you can go ahead and expect. It's more so in the sense of you can go ahead and have so many market price movements that go ahead and have it. So we're going to talk about the market prices in the mineral space and how that kind of impacts things and how we can get ready to make sure that we can take advantage of those side of things as well. And then also you want to talk about the technology side to extract the minerals, which is so critical when it comes to the green technology, which we'll get to as well. And not to mention the drilling of more than 300,000 meters that was done in 2023. Some highlights in terms of what we found. And of course, AI is a hot topic in terms of not just what's happening in the world of ChatGPT, which I'm sure a lot of you guys cheat on your homework, but just every company is using AI. Want to know how we can go ahead and do that. AT, just go ahead and slap me when you're ready, and we can go ahead and get Brian on for the show. Brian, second time's a charm. Welcome to All Access. Brian, how you doing? Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on board.
Absolutely appreciate your patience. They're excited to dive into all things mineral. But before we get to it, just give me a quick idea of what is it that your company does.
Yeah, so our roots are in mineral exploration, but over time we've evolved and we've become a company that owns royalty interests in a number of mines and renewable energy projects all over the world today.
That's the interesting part about this, right? Is the royalty aspect. I'm not familiar with too many companies that go ahead and do that. So why invest both as a royalty partner and also directly in your own projects as well? Like, what are the advantages of the model that your business is currently working on?
There's some commonalities. First off, we're not a miner per se. So in our royalty business, we collect top line revenue from a number of mines that we've gained interests in. And sometimes we buy those interests, so we'll provide finance to a mining company and in exchange get a royalty. But sometimes we explore for our own mineral deposits. We sell them on to mining companies, so we retain a royalty interest in those. So that's how the exploration and the royalty business weave together. We're on both ends, but we're not the miner in the middle.
Now, Americans are impacted with interest rates, right? You have foods that are impacted in terms of folks that sell them. They're impacted by those prices. How are you being impacted in the market prices in terms of minerals themselves?
Well, I think that's one of the real charms of royalties, actually, because I mean, the ultimate driver of the price of the different commodities that we get paid for is a function of the cost to produce them. So those inflationary costs have been alive and well in mining and renewable energy, and it's causing the prices to edge their way up. So if you're the miner or the operator of the renewable energy plant, there hasn't been a whole lot of benefit, though. The prices are higher, but it's because your costs have gone higher, so your margin has stayed the same. If you're the royalty holder and all that you have, pardon me, is the top line revenue exposure, it essentially makes you a beneficiary of inflation, not a victim of it.
That's the part where I feel like folks kind of have tough time understanding is that eggs, for example, right? Egg prices were so high and everyone was complaining like, oh, businesses are being greedy and they're increasing the price of eggs. Well, it's like, because they have to maintain their margin. They're not just doing it because they woke up and said, hey, let's charge twice as much. It's because their cost to get those fulfilled in the store has gone up. So you have to find a way to make sure that those margins remain so the business can make money, which is what it's supposed to do. Your company has a focus on the ESG side of things. So how do you kind of ensure that the mining practices you currently have are used to extract minerals critical for the green technology are sustainable in what you're doing?
Well, there's two parts to that. First off, it deals with which commodities are we attracted to, and we're looking for those that we think have tailwinds behind them because they'll be in greater demand, basically to provide materials that will fuel the energy transition and other sustainability trends. But the other part of that is when we make an investment, we do very thorough due diligence on the underlying operator. We check out its environmental record, its interaction with the communities in which it operates, and that becomes a really important part of our decision as to whether or not to invest in the project.
And, you have someone in the chat that mentioned no one gets to work for free. So I want to take that and what you just said in terms of margins and taking care of the people. How do you kind of make sure that safety and fair pay for the miners is something that's a priority, which I know it is for y'all, but how do you kind of make sure you keep that intact with making sure you have margins as well?
Some of that just starts with the jurisdictions that we're comfortable working in. So we want places where there is obviously good rule of law, but there's high environmental standards and regulation, solid labor laws. So those kinds of things in many ways take care of themselves. But it also explains why we're not in some regions of the world where we feel that those practices just aren't up to the snuff that our investors would feel comfortable with, and we just avoid until they might improve. So hopefully by not investing in those regions, we're in a weird way doing our part, at least in not incentivizing them to advance, while we are providing capital to those that are doing it right.
Always want to make sure you reward those folks. Now, we talked about, I brought up AI earlier, and many of our guests are using AI in different aspects of it. Doesn't matter if you're in the healthcare space, in the crypto space, in the financial sector, wherever it may be, AI is something that's always being talked about. Are the new technologies driven by AI changing the exploration side of things for you?
We haven't seen a lot of change. I mean, we deal with enormous data sets, and I can see how as the models that get developed and built to process those enormous data sets come along, they'll represent good tools. There's probably more impact to be felt at the mining company level when, I think people underestimate how high tech the modern mining industry really is. And so everything from just managing your mine plan through your processing plants, there does seem to be quite a bit of room there to optimize, improve productivity.
Because once AI is in the very, very early innings, we're just getting warmed up before the ball game even actually starts. I feel like, as you mentioned, the mining side of it, the technology is so complicated that AI hasn't caught up to that. However, I would assume that once it does, no matter how many years it may take, it would increase your profit margins in the long term. Would you agree with that analysis of mine, or any other insights on that?
Yeah, I think there is room. I mean, in any industry, particularly very complex ones that involve moving massive amounts of earth and those kinds of things, there are going to be inefficiencies. So anything you can do to try to weed those out of the system and reduce waste. And the way things are shaping up for a lot of these commodities right now with the scarcities, I mean, just getting every little bit you can from the rocks when you mine them is becoming more and more important.
Now, I know you went ahead and completed the exploration and delineation drilling on more than, like I mentioned earlier, about 300,000 meters in 2023. Any highlights in terms of what was found?
Yeah, so again, I should back up. We sell our projects on to the mining companies, and so they would typically do that heavy lifting. So we originate. Right. You're right. That kind of effort of drilling was completed across our portfolio last year, and there was certainly one clear highlight. And that was for a project called Silicon in Nevada. And the project partner there is a company, a large gold mining company called Anglo Gold Ashanti. And they've just come out and published resources for the Silicon project that now total over 17 million ounces. And they're touting it as perhaps the biggest gold discovery in the US in at least a decade. So a pretty meaningful impact for us. It's still a little bit of ways from being a producing mine that will pay royalties, but it really does look like it's shaping up to be a major gold mining operation. So that's pretty exciting.
And speaking of gold, or just anything good and looking into the future as well, anything that our folks and our viewers that are watching right now can look forward to in terms of what's to come from your company, not just in 2024, but also beyond that?
We've positioned ourselves around these mines that have incredibly large resources, and they're in stable jurisdictions. They follow the right practices. And we just believe that all of these mines in the fullness of time, because they have such big resources, will be called upon to produce more and more product, metals or electricity or whatever it might be. And so we just feel like there's a wonderful organic growth profile embedded in our company right now. We don't need to be out looking to do M&A to grow. We could sit back if we wanted to and look at it again in a decade, and a decade hence, and a decade hence, and you're going to be dealing with a stronger company each time. I'm very confident in saying that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And it's always good to kind of talk about this market, especially with the fluctuation that we've seen, and also where things are going with gold hitting highs and everyone's getting excited about that aspect of it. It's always fun to talk about minerals. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And chat, as always, we appreciate you for hanging out. And that was Brian Dalton, who is the CEO of Altus Minerals, ticker on the TSXL is ALS, and ticker on the OTCQX is ATUSF. And we hope you enjoyed the conversation. And as always, do your due diligence. We want to get you answers from executives themselves so that we can inform you as much as possible. And we appreciate you for watching All Access.